What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick, soon to be joined very shortly by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is a Wednesday night, and it is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, this is the college football podcast, Battered Irish Syndrome. And I should correct myself, it is a Thursday evening. Things are a bit cray-cray over here in the UK at the minute because Matt is on his holiday as of tomorrow morning. So we've had to kind of condense all our shows into one evening because we weren't able to do the college pod as usual yesterday. But hope you are all doing terrific. We are going to be taking a look at week three of the college football season and then taking a little look ahead to week four if we get an opportunity to at the end. But I don't know if we will because, my Lord, this non-con season has been crazy out there. We have this week alone lost two head coaches are down. We have two major programs whose seasons are already on life support, and we had a whole slew of upsets over the weekend. So usually when these first few weeks are quite sedate and we don't have too much to talk about, I mean, we have a lot of games to talk about again this week. So as I say, I'm gonna wait until the main stuff comes on until Ryan gets here. We're starting the show a little earlier today, so and I didn't really get to tell him until the last moment. So he might roll in about half past. We'll see. But I'll shout out everyone who's in the chat and everything like that. I'll go through all the housekeeping and get that stuff out the way first. And while we're waiting, so. Yeah, doing the housekeeping stuff. Roar of the Lions UK Discord. If you want in on that, let us know and I'll fire you across a link for that. Main podcast obviously happened like 30 minutes ago. It was the preview for the Baltimore Ravens matchup on Monday Night Football. It's going to be a huge one for the Lions. This is going to be one of the biggest tests we have had all season. How do we stack up against them? Check out Matt and Ash's breakdown on that. They did that, yeah, say about half an hour ago. But big game for the Lions, and we will see how we get on there. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. We really appreciate the support. We're approaching 2,000 subs on YouTube, so yeah, please do help us get to that mark. It would really mean a lot to us. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, Herman Moore's project. So also give that backing if you could and you enjoy what we do on there. And then we are Twitch affiliated, we're YouTube monetized, all that sort of stuff. So if you want to help us that way, great. But we just love having you all in the building first and foremost. And we got the feedback form as well. So any feedback on there, just let us know. And we, of course, will take it all on board. And that is the housekeeping out of the way. Shout out to Lisa, who's in the building. Shout out to Brent, who is in the building. Hope you're both well. As always, people, while you're watching, if you've got any questions for us as the evening goes on, just let us know. And here he is. He is in the building with us. Nostradamus himself, the man who predicted many upsets last weekend. Ryan, we're going to talk about a week three which saw two head coaches fired, four top 18 teams defeated, and a slew of teams who have threatened to be contenders for years pull off major upsets, which might signal maybe, just maybe, they're going to be real contenders now.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of head coaches that are probably 7 to 14 days away from having their plugs pulled and their buyout clauses met. I think we're really at that part of the season now where if you came into the season under pressure, you see it's probably you've gone from a gentle simmer to the spaghetti's almost boiling over.
Yeah,
So a lot of people are in trouble right now.
it's odd because if I remember rightly, we didn't have like a head coaching sacking till about week seven or week eight last year. It was really weird. A lot of teams waited. This year, people just pulling the trigger left, right, and center, and we are going to talk about it all as we go along. We've got some news to get out of the way first, and a piece of wonderful news that dropped just today, and will be another reason for Ryan to be very happy this week. England is getting its first taste of college football. Usually the games are played over in Ireland, but there's going to be college football in Ireland next year. There's going to be college football in Germany next year with the Wolverines going over. And there's going to be college football in England next year at Wembley, September 19th. We are going to get an all Big 12 affair between the Kansas Jayhawks And the Arizona State Sun Devils, yes, the team Ryan has followed through thick and thin for many a year now, are coming to England, and we need to begin the campaign for Lorraine, his missus, to let him go to the game next year. But Ryan, I mean, what great news! The Sun Devils come into all blighty here.
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of reports saying that there's still a lot of hurdles, like say working out their schedule and their what. But I know Coach Leopold on the Kansas side is definitely pushing for growing college football in the more advanced in the Western market, reach out into Europe and the UK. So it's a big one and be a big game as well. Like I said, that Kansas have started this season pretty well. Sun Devils not where they want to be right now, but yeah, they're a prominent. They're two big teams in the Big 12, so it'll be fun to get them over next year. And let's say it feels like it's the dam just holding back the tide. I'm sorry, American fans, if you don't like that, but you're gonna have to get used to this. This will be the new norm in a couple of years. Madrid, Barcelona, all them, they will get a game. You will lose a game. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they work the schedules.
Absolutely, but I mean, it's great they're going to be coming over. So this is day one of the campaign to get Ryan credentialed as an Arizona State
I'm surprised
English
they're not doing it early,
member.
like week zero.
Yeah, it's
Like
gonna.
technically, it's going to be week 3 or 4, but that's kind of going to change up like 2 whole weeks of your schedule.
So September 19th, that'll be week four.
Yeah, that's what
That'll be
weekend
week
on
four that
now.
we
Yeah,
get roughly that we're going to be on. So,
yeah. I
but
thought
yeah,
it'd be like end of August. I thought
yeah,
you should have had the same day as Dublin.
yeah, yeah, you should. But then I
You've got an
guess you.
option. You can stay in England. I can go to Ireland.
But then I guess they want to try and make more money out of it, so stagger the weekends and that. But your boys here are going to be trying to get to this one, so if we can, let's see what's going on. We'll see if we can maybe do a live show from there or something. But yeah, we're going to push to try and get Ryan credentialed by Arizona State. They've got a British fan over here. Why not better than to have Ryan do it? So we will see. But yeah, Arizona State and Kansas slated to come to England in 2026. Other news, as I mentioned, we have had two head coach firings this week, which is, I mean, in years gone by, it's been a norm, but last year, head coaches got a lot of time and decisions were not made so quickly. But after week three, two teams have decided to go other ways. The first one, Brent Pry is out at Virginia Tech. At the beginning of, I mean, just his fourth season, which nowadays is a short reign, he took over in 22 over a Justin Fuente team coming off back-to-back 5-win seasons. And he had a bad start. They went 3-8 with just one ACC win in their first year, but he turned it around in 2023. That was the year James Mitchell and co came to town. They went 7-6. They were 5-3 in the ACC. They won the Military Bowl, and you just thought maybe he was starting to get things rolling there, but the team stalled out last year. They went 7-6. Sorry, they went 6-7 with a 4-4 ACC record. So they went back to 500 in conference and just scraped a bowl game. But the start of year four has been a complete and utter disaster for them. They had the opening week loss to South Carolina. And then they had the follow-up loss to Vanderbilt on week two, and then that was followed by an absolute thumping on home soil by Old Dominion to leave the team 0-3, which seems to be the final straw that broke the camel's back. It's the worst start to a season for Virginia Tech since 1987, and they have never been ranked under Brent Pry in his just for he's just over 3 years there. And the pain doesn't stop there for Virginia Tech. His buyout, which goes through up to about 2027, is estimated to be over $6 million. It would have been $6 million at the end of this year, but they got to pay him the rest of this as well. So somewhere between 6 and 7 million. It is tough. I mean, right, this was a team that between the end of the Vanderbilt game and the start of the Old Dominion game, they went on a run, losing 62 to nothing. I think 28 points unanswered by Old Dominion on the back of about 34 unanswered points by Vanderbilt last week. And we think of all these ACC teams. We think of Pittsburgh is known for its blitz defense and how aggressive it is. We think of SMU for its expansive offense and stuff like that. But it just feels under Virginia Tech. I mean, what are they? What do you think of when you hear them? They don't seem to have developed that identity under him, and they've just kind of gone backwards. And when you're getting absolutely railroaded by Old Dominion at home in your fourth year at the start of the non-con season, the writing is quite rightly on the wall.
Yeah. There comes a point where it doesn't matter how expensive it is. A lot of teams would not fire a coach and pay $7 million to take the privilege of that. A lot of them would be like, well, hang on, but no, they're not messing around. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact is that the development of Kyron drones is just not there right now. Like I say, he's taken a bit, he's regressed quite a lot. To start this season, he has looked like he hasn't seen half these guys before. And a quarterback that has, in recent years, like had those good purple patches, like I say, looks terribly off the pace this year. And you think about like of a run game, as you say, no real identity. In an ACC as well, that not there for the, well, actually, no, yeah, it's there for the taking because Clemson have started the year poorly. All the ACC teams should be frothing at the mouth, thinking, "This is it." Like I say, if they're going to fall up, we're going to be the guys that start. Yeah, and it's not been it's not been a brutal schedule to start the year. Obviously, like I say, you had the tough game, like I say, the Gamecocks, but like I say, then Old Dominion, Vandy, they're all reasonably winnable. But then you go for a large period where they're just getting shut out and just getting dominated, where ultimately he will pay the price for it. And yeah, I'm usually kind of approach of you just rip the plaster off, cause the blood, then just kind of keep tending to the wound that's not going to heal.
Yeah, it's just you've not felt any momentum in the program. And you think it's a big program. Blacksburg is one of the most
The fan base
fierce.
is intense.
Yeah, it's one of the most fierce atmospheres in the entire country. That should be your home where you're never beaten. And, just to kind of see it, it was really sad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the fact that Old Dominion and Ricky Ron continue to ascend the rankings as a team and they look great, but it kind of just felt sad at 31 nothing. The band weren't playing, the crowd were dead, half of them had left, and it just felt like a big program, which is at one of its lowest points in a long time now. It's not been good since the first 2 years of Fuente, like nearly a decade ago now.
No. And it don't help that it's a big rivalry as well. Like you say, you've got the Cavaliers on either side that I suppose have also been very up and down in that period. But when you're always getting compared to your neighbours, like I say, with a big noisy crowd. And when I think when the fans start to stay away or they start to leave games early, when you've got quite an intense fan base like that, I think you kind of know that there's no saving you. Once the fans kind of like have made their mind up about you or they've kind of turned their back on you, there's really no way to salvage it, unfortunately.
No, absolutely
There's
not.
some
So Brent,
interesting names linked, but it
I've
seems like
not looked. What's the
for
list at? Who's favorited?
well, two names that were heavily linked straight away were Michael Vick at Norfolk State in his
Ooh.
first year because he's the most famous player to argue come out, and Shane Beamer. But because of his dad,
Oh.
like I say, he's got strong family ties, but it can't happen because he's got a $5 million buyout and he's now on an $8.1 million annual fee. So they just can't afford him.
And would
Even
you
though he's got VT in his blood.
Yeah, and would you drop from the Gamecocks down there? Like
Exactly. To step back, yeah.
it's
Like I say, Vic's not ready, even
yeah.
though, like you say, he's got deep ties, and Beamer right now is just simply unobtainable. 6 million buyout, and then you've got to buy out the next head coach. Then the thing, yeah.
Yeah, you're
There'll
spending
be no
uns.
shortage of things, but I think right now what you probably do is, I mean, you just promote an interim.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should never hire a new permanent head coach in season.
No, unless you're
Wait to
Northwestern.
see who gets fired at the end of the year. That
Yeah,
you have to buy
exactly.
out because you can't really be buying coaches out when you're paying your current coach of $6 million to leave.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, hire an interim, see what goes on, and who knows? These losses have occurred outside of conference, so they've not actually started the ACC slate
You
yet,
can
but
salvage it, and someone might lead them to a bowl.
yeah, yeah. At
You
least have a
probably
winning
get promoted if
record.
you get them to a bowl game. Win a bowl game, you probably get promoted as the OCR, the DC.
Just get a winning record in the ACC, even if you don't reach a bowl, and you might have a good chance. But yeah, things are not good there, and it was sad seeing it that way the other day because usually it's one of the most electric atmospheres in college football. Everyone tunes into week one at Blacksburg for the run out. Everybody. and it already felt like the stadium had gone completely dead. So Virginia Tech had done. Big shout out to Brent DeWitt, who has gifted 5 memberships to the Rural Lines UK channel. Well done to Rev Ursel, Prop Dew, VJ, Bees9, and Lisa De Lorenzo, all who've got the gift memberships there. And shout out to VJ, who has sent one himself, and Attila the Hun is the reciprocant of that. So well done to everyone, and thanks everybody for supporting the channel. We really do appreciate you all. And like I said, any questions you have of us as the evening goes on, just let us know. And speaking of teams that were absolutely hummed by a group of 5 opponent at the weekend, which caused a head coach to lose his job, that leads us over to LA, where Deshaun Foster is out at UCLA at the beginning of just his second season. So the Bruins are one of many teams who, after the Chip Kelly run, they went down the former player and current staff member route to try and revive their program. Instead, he may have nearly killed it. So he went 5-7 in year one, and it wasn't easy, the Bruins making the move to the Big Ten, but they started off 1-5, which basically killed their season before it began, before a load of wins down the stretch, which really didn't meet nothing. And then one of the big decisions in the offseason, he decided to dump his new portal quarterback, Joey Aguiar, who is doing very well at Tennessee right now, and bring in the very troubled Nico Iamaleava at the last moment. And it is a decision that has not paid off, and year two has been downright disastrous for them. They got rolled by Utah on opening week. They got beaten up by Group of 5 UNLV in week two, and they got downright hammered by another Group of 5 team in New Mexico in their own home at the Rose Bowl in week three. They got ran on for over 300 yards by the Lobos on the evening, despite the fact that Scottrey Humphrey, their star running back, left the game injured in the first quarter. They have committed 27 penalties in the last 2 games against Group of 5 opponents, and the local media have dubbed this team the Bad News Bruins. Obviously, the play on Bad News Barrett there from WWE. I mean, this is absolutely disastrous, Rye. This mistake is going to cost the Bruins over 5 million to sack him off. And this team is in tatters with no sight. It's got no spine, it's got no leaders, it's got no direction, and there's a very good chance it could go on the season and not win a single game at all.
I feel for him because, like I said, he's not the issue, I don't think. See, like I say, he's a guy that's worked under Cliff Kingsbury, Jim Mora, Chip Kelly. Like you say, he's a very experienced running back coach. Like you say, he's been at big programs. Like you say, UCLA, to them, he's a legend. Running back coach here for 6 years. So he was very much ingrained in part of the staff. So it's not like he's a new face. He's also in the UCLA Athletics like Hall of Fame, I think.
Yeah, it
He
was a
was,
running
like I
back
say,
in college
yeah.
there.
The guy bleeds, cuts Bruins. And the first year, I mean, I didn't think 5-7 were that bad, considering, like I said, the state of the roster and what he kind of inherited. But yeah, the off season, it took a nosedive, didn't it? Like I say that the players that decided to leave, they decided, like I say, it felt like some players were probably more pushed than jumped. It kind of feels like, yeah, there was definitely some stuff that went on behind the scenes that led them to leave the program. And then you've got the whole Nico and his dad, and got that whole kind of media storm that you don't really want. And like I said, then like I say, Aguiar, it don't help as well that Joey has started the season so well. When you think about, like I say, sometimes you look at like, you know, what you see scrolling your ex-girlfriend's Facebook, and you're like, oh, she's met this wonderful man and she's married, like say that, oh. And he's sat there, like say, eating Dominoes on his own on his sofa. He feels bad, like say, and that doesn't help, does it? Like say you're on three, and like say your ex is like say upgraded, and that never looks good from an outside perspective. But yeah, this, yeah, I kind of get it. Like say sometimes another one where if something's not right and it doesn't feel right, then it's never too soon to get that niggle back out of a deal. Yes, it will cost them money, but in the long term, it may save them a good amount of embarrassment.
Mhm.
I say there's plenty of experienced staff right now. Expectations are they're minimal. They are proper bottom of the barrel right now. Whoever takes over is just getting through the year. like say, try at least ingrain some semblance of like give the next guy maybe a quarterback to work with, like say maybe go to one of the young guys, see try like say build a form of partnership. But yeah, this has been a disaster. It's been a torrid start to the year. They've looked outmatched in all departments. It feels like there's been no real continuity or sync between the staff on the sideline making poor decisions. And you say poor discipline. Like I say, when your players getting penalised, I always look at the coaching staff. Like, how do you let that fly? How do you let them be so ill-disciplined on the field? Like I say, what do you let them get with in practice? Is it kind of just a free for all? Like I say, do you not call them out there and they just bring that onto a game day? Reflects very badly on Deshaun and the staff is assembled. Like I say, so it'd be interesting to see now where he goes as a positional coach, where it's going to take him, how he kind of rebounds from here. But it's a big school with a lot of money. It's a Yeah, they won't struggle for applicants. Like I said, there'll be a lot about their eyeing this up as like the perfect reclamation project because it's a big school, it's a big brand, is
And
UCLA. If you can
uh,
get that right, then hell, they'll bow down to you, all that fan base.
and there's
I'd
some
rather
big
take the UCLA job over the VT one.
And there's some big names getting thrown around for this role, but not necessarily big names as in big names now, but they're looking at the rising stars in the game. I know GJ Kinney's getting linked to this. Texas State obviously making the move to the Pac-12 next year, but he's turned them into a force. They're going to be a Pac-12 team for sure. I know Spencer Danielson is getting a look in on this, the Boise State head coach. They're trying to go after. There's rumor they're even trying to go after Brennan Marion as well, which he's only just gone to Sac State, but given the job he's
It's
done
another team
already.
though. If I'm UCLA, I go for John Sumrall.
Mm, yeah, the Tulane head coach who was Lane Kiffin was talking about him this week, saying he will have an SEC job by this time next year, which is interesting. Don't know which SEC team that might be at the moment,
Yeah.
but
But
he's
I'd
looking
say
for a job
he's
there.
Tulane right now. Is it a sideways move? Obviously, UCLA can pay him more, but if you look at aspirations of
Mm.
college football playoffs,
And the
is it
Green
probably better staying at Tulane?
and the Green Wave might make a move up themselves soon if the ACC want to come calling.
Exactly like say Tulane won't be in the American. It feels like that much longer.
No, I think they'll be up in the ACC before long. Another name that's in there, interesting. Anthony Lynn's son, DeAnton Lynn, who's the USC defensive coordinator. He's had a lot of success there. But they're looking at up and coming. I know Jason X been mentioned, the New Mexico They seem to
Find
be
them, you need to go
scouring.
with someone like say an up and comer. Don't
uh,
go with a big household name. Don't go anyone either that's in retirement.
They're scouring the Mountain West. Like there's a lot of the Mountain West top dogs in there. I know Neomatolo's been discussed briefly, but he feels like he'd be an interim at his age. But someone like Spencer Danielson or Jason Eck or something like that, or I think Kinney would be exciting. But at the same point, I think he's at a bigger program at Texas State. You've got the Texas recruiting grounds down there. I don't think he should leave. They'll be
Yeah.
in the Power Four next year. But yeah, two teams, head coaches down. So UCLA and Virginia Tech. Who is next? We will see. Anyhow, we're going to move on and we're going to move on to the week three slate because again, for a non-con slate, there are so many games which shocked, surprised. There were things going on, so there is a lot that we need to talk about. And as always, with how it works with the format of the show, you make the title, you get talked about first. This week, we're talking about the battered Irish syndrome. Number 16 Texas A&M facing off against number 8 Notre Dame in what was low key, maybe could be one of the best games of the season, which was a ding dong back and forth affair, came down to the last 13 seconds. But Notre Dame, who were in the end, were in the national title game back in January, start the season with two defeats in a row, go 0-2 with an almost game time clincher by the Texas A&M Aggies. And one of the most famous diseases in college football is known as battered Aggie syndrome because the Aggies get themselves so pumped up every year thinking this might be their year of five-star recruits and great players. Maybe this is the year they be as great as they should be, and they always get let down. They're always abused by their team. But they've passed it on this week. It's now the battered Irish syndrome. And I mean, we talked about this, right? We both called this upset last week because, Notre Dame didn't look great in their opening week loss. And you kind of thought maybe Texas A&M are always threatening to break through their glass ceiling. But obviously, we like Mike Elko, the job he's done at Duke. He's slowly doing well with this Texas A&M team. And this was a game that went backwards and forwards. It started off with a blocked punt return touchdown for Notre Dame, and you're kind of there thinking, oh no, this is maybe the sign of things to come. And Notre Dame built themselves a healthy lead to start with. Marcel Reed did get a touchdown pass to Mario Craver for 86 yards, but Texas A&M responded to make it 7-0. But the next two scores went to Notre Dame. Jadarian Price rushing touchdown, a field goal to give them a 17-7 lead. And then they just pretty much started trading scores for the rest of the game. Le'Veon Moss had a rushing touchdown for A&M to bring them back within three. CJ Carr then had a big pass to Jeremiah Love for 36 yards for a touchdown to restore the 10-point lead. But A&M came back into this with two touchdowns just before the half. Le'Veon Moss with runs from just 2 and 1 yards to give them a 4-point run at the half. And then they just traded shots with each other in the second half. Notre Dame scored first. Jadarian Price with a rushing touchdown again from 17 yards, this time to give Notre Dame a 3-point lead. A&M leveled it up with a 43-yard field goal. Then they traded field goals. Noah Burnett from 39, Randy Bond from 45. You get down into the last 3 minutes of the game, tied at 34 apiece, and Jeremiah Love gets another rushing touchdown from 12 yards out. They tried a 2-point conversion, did Notre Dame, to get themselves 8 points clear and force A&M to do the same, but they didn't convert to leave the lead at just sixth. And with 13 seconds left at fourth and goal at the Notre Dame 11, A&M putting everything on the line, and young quarterback Marcel Reed found Nate Bierkircher from 11 yards out for the touchdown. And because Notre Dame had gone for two, they only needed to take the field goal. No inherent risk there. Randy Bond kicks over the game-winning PAT. And Ryan, this is an absolutely massive win for this Texas A&M program. Obviously, they need to go into the SEC and do it right, but these are games over the years traditionally they've struggled in, and they've never delivered on their hype, and they took their lumps. They went behind quite a few times, playing from behind a lot. But young Marcel Reed, he took his lumps last year as the freshman at quarterback. He's maturing. He looks better. They're working well in both facets of the game, and that spine Mike Elko's put in there finally came to fruition.
Yeah, it it feels like we're finally looking at a balanced A&M Aggies team. In recent years, we've seen, like I said, always like, for the most part, tremendous defense. But it always feels like the offense has been very up and down, like I say, where there's weeks where it goes completely missing. And sometimes I found it disappointing. But this week, like I said, I think this season, I think we might be looking at finally their proper offense. Like I say, you've got two elite receivers. You've got one of the best running backs in the country, and they finally got a settled quarterback that's as good through the air as he had his legs. It feels like this is the year that Elko's finally built himself an offense that can compete with the very best, knowing that his defense will always give him 100% and do nothing. But yeah, and unfortunately, what do I always say? Special teams. Tyler Buckner screws up the perfect snap on the hold, which should have been a simple extra point to take them 7 points in the lead. Like I say, then he scrambles, gets tackled. And yeah, unfortunately, he's getting a lot of hate for that. There's been a lot of stick online for him, like say, for potentially costing them the game, which is not fair. Like I say, it doesn't 1 point, one game play never defines a game, but it's usually one. You can kind of draw down a lot of losses to one player, and a lot of saying it is that one because like I say, A&M would have had to go for two just to win or settle for one to go overtime. But yeah, one of those where when they go wrong and with 3 minutes left in the game in a ranked matchup, yes, everyone will remember about it, and there's no hiding from it. But yeah, this was a fantastic game. This week I've seen for the first, I feel like for the first time they got the Price and the Jeremiah Love kind of balance right. Like I said, they split the carries better. They did good stuff, like I say, explosive plays and short yardage. This is how I'd like to see them used as a proper tandem. Because, like I said, Jeremiah Love in week one, we didn't even see him. Barely even
No.
touched the field, barely got any touches. But right now, we've seen that. And yeah. And when those two are at it, CJ Carr's a freshman, but boy, do they take a lot of pressure off a young man when those two are at it like that. They are the best pair of backs in the country, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw the confidence come into his play having that behind him. But I mean, you look here at this, obviously Notre Dame's 7.5 point favorites. Hopefully everyone can see all these stats here. Favorited for pretty much the entire game. Their win expectancy was favored towards them. Just that little blip around the half-time mark where Tamu got those two rushing touchdowns in a row. But right until the end, Notre Dame fancied to win this one, and it's a ballsy fourth down play call. A&M showed a lot of heart there, and you look here, their offense was tremendous. A 45% success rate on their offensive plays, over 7 yards per play, over nearly 10 yards per drop back from the quarterback who did well as well. Their third downs they were 50% on. Both teams weirdly enough, a little iffy in the red zone given how many points were scored, but that's how you play. But it's just about which defense was going to be able to do a little bit more. And you can see here defensively, nothing from the Notre Dame defensive line, which is odd. No sacks, two tackles for loss, both against the run. There was absolutely nothing in the passing game, trying to stop Marcel Reed from slinging the ball over the field. Whereas you look at Tamu's defensive line, nine tackles for loss, seven against the run, two against the pass, two sacks. Both teams did come away with an interception in this one as well. So no change in the turnover margin there, but I mean, you look down the tail tape, it's pretty similar from what you get. 489 yards for Tamu, 430 for Notre Dame, like 360 in the air for Texas A&M, 283 for Notre Dame. Both teams ran for over 100 yards, 130 for Tamu, 150 for Notre Dame. It kind of came down to the last team holding the ball in this one, always going to be, which was always going to be the crazy one here, but. This Notre Dame defense isn't its usual self, right? You look here, Marcel Reed, he was only 17 of 37. That's a less than 50% completion rate. His 17 passes went for 360 yards, two touchdowns, just the one pick in there. Obviously, like you say, Le'Veon Moss mopping up what he needed to. 81 yards, three touchdowns, efficient 4 yards per carry there. It wasn't necessarily that Tamu were, dominating offensively. It was just big play after big play after big play because no pressure on the quarterback, and you take the deep shots downfield as a result. And you see there, Mario Craver, seven catches for 207 yards. He's going over 20 yards per catch. You've got guys 24 yards per catch, 13 and a half. It's just the downfield stuff. No pressure means a vulnerable secondary.
Yeah, I think, yeah, teams have to respect Le'Veon Moss. I think he's one of the more underrated running backs in the next draft class, 6 foot 215. The guy is a burner. He's not a pass catcher. He ain't really a blocker. He's just a straight kind of north and south guy that breaks tackles and run through you. And that means ultimately you've got to bring guys close to the line of scrimmage. You've got to get mitts on him early. You got to respect him. You've got to put guys in the box, and that usually means a lot of man coverage. And you'll have to leave your DBs on an island. And yeah, Mario Craver probably he might be the best receiver in the country right now. Bear in mind he's a true sophomore and he's only like 5'7", 5'8". The dude's little. Like I
Hmm.
say, he is an absolute burner. His route running, like I say, he's just breezing past guys. He's like at like 450 yards already on the season. He is just a little, like I say, pocket rocket. And then finally you see, like I say, you'll be happy for Concepcion. Like I say, just 13 catches on the year, but he's got three touchdowns. He only caught six touchdowns all of last year. He's already got three. So he's already
Spreads the
getting touches
field.
in the red zone.
Spreads the field with his speed.
Exactly.
That's
Like
what.
I say, 13, he's already averaging 18 yards a catch. He's only got 13 catches on the year. He is a big play man. He doesn't have to get the ball a lot, and he makes it very effective. And it's going to do the world of draft stock is good because, like I say, his average catch right now compared to the other 2 years is through the ceiling. he's showing now that he's able to get in behind and make these large splash plays now, yeah. You've got big tight ends, you got the Swede, you've got Melon Nordstrom. Like I say, you got guys like that that can help in the blocking game. It's a very well-run offense, great offensive line. And yeah, it's going to be one of those where it won't always be the most efficient, but it just carries big explosive players which can catch you off guard at any given moment.
Yeah, exactly. And while his numbers aren't staggering in terms of his accuracy for Reed, he looks a lot more you can see the veteran in him now. He's had his rough, freshman experience in college, and you could just see against CJ Carr, although Carr's numbers are technically a bit better, you could tell the rookies there in Carr, whereas Reed's kind of got that out his system a little bit. And ultimately maybe that's the difference. This time next year, CJ Carr's probably on the same arc.
Yeah, I just feel like there's going to be a lot of growing pains this year. And right now, yeah, the run game will carry him. Like I said, it will also mean that he will get time in the pocket because they will that the defense that play them as well, like say Love and Price, you've got to show them every ounce of respect, which means you will not send the house after CJ Price, CJ Carr, because you can't afford to leave the box too light because like I said, they will punish you. So yeah, he will get better. There will be more experience with CJ. It will come probably I'd say next year. But yeah, like I say, but next year as well, he'll lose Love. I don't know about Price. I don't know how much what he's a junior. I'd imagine you're going to lose both. They're both going to declare,
Yeah.
like I say, because they both come out to his hot year. So next year, CJ Carr, he won't have the luxury of having, like say, a Rolls Royce backfield. So yeah, next year he will have to take that next step.
And, we talk about seasons been on the line already. Notre Dame's season is hanging by a thread now. And it's not just because it's 0-2, they can still win out and go 10 wins, but it's the level of opposition you're coming up against and the scrutiny with which you're placed because you're not conferenced. You look at going forward, Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, NC State. You've got the shillelagh against USC, but Boston College, Navy, Pittsburgh, Hughes, Stanford. Stanford are not good. Pittsburgh just lost the brawl. Boston College just got beaten by Stanford. Boise are group of five. Purdue are probably going to be near the bottom of the Big Ten. Like, you have to win the shillelagh now comfortably. And I think you have to win most of your other games comfortably because there aren't going to be many quality wins in there, NC State accepted.
No. If we're gonna believe what they're gonna say, where they're gonna take strength of schedule even more seriously now, where they want people to stop stat padding with the G5s and the FCS. Like I say, they're going to try to put the onus on them to like say make a more competitive non-cons. And yeah, I look at their calendar already, and I just think to myself, who are they going to go out there and dismantle? Who are they going to go out there and they're going to impress me by beating? Like I say, there's not many teams out there where they could go route them, and I'd think, well, that's a surprise. I'd be like, yeah, I probably expect you to do that. So I think they're going to really struggle now to earn the respect of those who'll be making decisions at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road back for them at this point. But I mean, this time last year when they lost to Northern Illinois and everyone said the season was done, they somehow found a way to turn it around. But yeah, the schedule is not helping the Fighting Irish this year. So their season is now it's must win and it's win by a lot. And pray that the committee is very nice to you and that a lot of SEC teams struggle this year. Otherwise, you're going to struggle to find a way in even as a 12th seed. Just shout out in the chat. Mile Marker is in the chat. Hope you're doing well, Mile Marker. First bit of adversity for the Golden Gophers this week, but we expect them to bounce back there quickly. And hope you're doing all right, Lisa. Seeing your comment in there. You're always welcome in here, and hopefully, we take away a little bit of that stress while you're in here with us. So yeah, hope you're doing all right, Lisa. And I say, always welcome in here with us. We will hopefully never let you down. Right, we'll move it on. And speaking of Lisa and teams that she likes, we're gonna do a talk now about The Georgia Bulldogs, we're going to go to the SEC in one of the biggest games of the week. Number six ranked Georgia on the road at the Rocky Top to the number 15 Tennessee Volunteers. I think they said beforehand it's an 8-year streak now that Georgia have on Tennessee. And, it felt like maybe this might be the year where Tennessee were able to stop that. Georgia struggled against Austin Peay the week before, and you come into Rocky Top, you're kind of not sure about what's going on with the quarterback, you're not sure about what's going on with that team. It's there to be taken, and what an absolutely fantastic game again that this was, and what an absolutely hot start from Aguiar and his Vols team. They struck first in this one. Guiar had himself a rushing touchdown from 4 yards out. In fairness, Georgia with a really good first drive response of their own. Both teams scored with their first drive of the game, and almost match for match. Gunnar Stockton on the quarterback run from 6 yards out for a touchdown to respond. So both teams open with an opening drive touchdown, both ended by their quarterback within the 6 yard line. But then Aguiar's arm came alive, and not used to seeing this Georgia secondary sort of toasted the way it was early on, but Aguiar heaved this absolutely humongous pass downfield to Chris Brazzell the second, who I just absolutely, I can't remember which corner it was. Whoever was going up for the catch with him got absolutely bad-jaxed, and Brazzell just walked it into the end zone. It was a 72-yard touchdown. They were able to then get Georgia to punt, and then they went down the field and scored again. This time, Joey Aguiar back to back to Chris Brazzell the second again for a 14-yard score in the end zone. A much more nuanced catch from him this time, but Brazzell looks absolutely tremendous for them early doors. And at the end of the first quarter, Tennessee 21-7 up, and Georgia on the rocks, and you're wondering what do they have in the tank here, but. Then they were able to turn this game on its head. 4 scores unanswered by Tennessee, who then started to turn the ball over. So the first score at the beginning of the second quarter, Ryan's old friend Zachariah Branch made himself known. Gunnar Stockton with a touchdown pass to him, 36 yards out to get the UGA offense kick started. I say Tennessee then started to turn the ball over. There was a 13-minute lull in scoring in the game. Georgia ended up with a field goal just before the half. Peyton Woodring with 20-yard chip shot to make it 21-17 at the half. So Tennessee still leading at halftime, but they come out cold after the half. Georgia score first. Josh McCray has a 1 yard rushing touchdown about 8 minutes into the third quarter, gives Georgia the lead. They then extend that lead with another field goal from Peyton Woodring, who knocked this next one in from nearly 50 yards. It was a lovely kick from him to establish a 6-point lead for Georgia. But then Tennessee hit back. Aguiar's arm opens up again, and it's not so much a good pass as a really bad play again from the Georgia secondary to let Brazzell once more get in a touchdown from 56 yards out. It is basically a heave from Aguiar at this point, and Brazzell's able to nick it out of the cornerback's grasp. He's basically going up to pick this thing. Again, it's an absolutely wonderful piece of play from Brazzell himself. But then second long touchdown pass of the day puts Tennessee up by 1. Georgia can only respond with a field goal. Another chip shot 24-yarder from Peyton Woodring puts them 2 points up. And then Tennessee build themselves another lead. Joey Aguiar yet again another touchdown pass to Braylon Staley. This Vols wide receiver core better than people thought it might be early in the year, but this was another 32-yard touchdown pass as Georgia's secondary again a little bit burnt toast on this day, kind of like when Alabama went there a few years ago with Branch. They extended it with a 50-yard field goal from Max Gilbert, puts them up 8 points with 6 minutes 40 seconds remaining, but Georgia able to draw level with 2.5 minutes left. And this is a 4th and 6 at the Tennessee 28. Gunnar Stockton with what is one of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen in my life to London Humphreys. 28 yards, he puts it in a breadbasket right down in the end zone. If he'd have thrown it anywhere else on the planet, it's not reaching him. There was only that one little window he could hit, and sends this thing to overtime. They get the 2 point conversion. Gunnar Stockton finds Zachariah Branch for that, levels it up at 38 apiece. Goes to overtime. Tennessee get the ball first. They're only able to kick a field goal, 3 up. Georgia, the assignment is simple. Get down to the end zone and score. As a big pass play. Again, I think it is to Branch. Gets them down to about the 3. It takes them 2 attempts to run it in. Josh McCray finishes this off. It's a 1 yard touchdown run. And Georgia get the win at Rocky Top despite not looking good. But this is what championship caliber teams do, right? They go on the road away from home. They face a lot of adversity. They have some, slumps, they have questions asked of them, but ultimately they find a way to answer them. That clutch drive at the end of the game, the 2 point conversion to get it into overtime, and then the stops when it mattered eventually. And Tennessee have wasted what might be the best chance they'll get in some time to take down this Bulldogs side. But tremendous game. But the heart of a champion really won through in this one. You can tell who's been a champion recently and who hasn't.
You can also tell which one's coached by Kirby Smart because you have to just look at the discipline. Tennessee, they beat themselves. 82 penalty yards, 10 flags. Georgia only got 5 for 39. Tennessee also, it seemed like they were a bit timid because they never even attempted a fourth down, but they had 12 third downs and only got 5 of them. So that's 7 times they either turned the ball over or didn't attempt a fourth down. To me, that felt a bit cowardice. It felt like they were too happy to give the ball back to Georgia and trust their defense. Whereas Georgia, like I say, went for 2 of their fourth downs and got both of them. And then if you look at time of possession, I mean, Georgia had 50 minutes 24, but obviously that counts the overtime as well. So, but I imagine if you take off 10, 15 minutes, yeah, Georgia had the ball for, like, say, 35, 40 minutes nearly. They dominated a lot of the ball, like I say, in general. So, for me, Georgia were the worthy winner. Obviously, Texas came out hot and got strong and started with a quick start. But then, like I say, the interceptions, the penalties, they quickly fell behind very quickly from that. So those quick Georgia blitzes that they're so good at. And in the end, yeah, we saw the discipline. We saw the team that was used to playing in big games. Like I say, got big time discipline and that clutchness when it comes to the end. Like I say, having Peyton Woodring, one of the most clutch kickers in the country, also helps as well. He made some big plays in the second half. So yeah, teams that are used to winning big things usually know how to keep their cool and, like I say, execute what they need to, especially in overtime. But yeah, Aguilar played a good game. There were some costly errors. I think Tennessee will bounce back. But yeah, we saw why the Bulldogs are always where they are because, yeah, can't keep a good dog down, as they say. Like I say, yeah, Gunnar Stockton, I saw that his high school, they put his jersey number, like I say, in the Hall of Fame. They retired it. Like I say, maybe that's how well he's doing. Like I say, he definitely deserved it on his performance, like I say, because especially late in the game, he was super clutch.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we chat about him in a minute, but you see all the green here on the team stats. Like, again, another offensively minded game. I mean, success rates of 54% for Tennessee, 46% for Georgia. Yards per play, 7.2 yards for Tennessee. We know that they're used to these big chunk plays downfield. Georgia are more conservative 6, but we know they like to grind it out a bit more. But the yards per dropback, 10 for Tennessee, 8.5 for Georgia. Both quarterbacks were able to sling for darts when they got there. Red zone success, they were both tremendous. 57% for Georgia, 60% for Tennessee. Both very, say when they needed to be clutch, they were. And again, these are just things we're not used to seeing from Georgia. I mean, you can see that Tennessee ran less offensive plays. We'll go there in a minute, but I mean, the defensive plays alone for Tennessee, 10 tackles for loss, 6 against the pass, 4 rushing, 4 sacks, an interception, a forced fumble. Georgia, it was just 3 tackles for loss and a single sack. You get 2 picks on the day, which is good, but you're used to seeing that Georgia D line hammer away really badly at this. But Aguilar wasn't under the most pressure in the world for a lot of these. And then it comes to the turnovers, and eventually both teams committed the same amount of turnovers. So no harm, no foul there. But This is where you lose it. For Georgia, 87 offensive plays. For Tennessee, just 69. And it's these big chunk plays downfield. They always do it right. They score quickly. And you look at the disparity in the attack. 371 air yards, just 135 on the ground. Like you say, it's time of possession. You can score a lot of points, but you score them quickly, and conversely, you put your own defense at a loss, despite the fact they've played out their minds, eventually got gassed.
Yeah, it was a it was a proper stamina game. Yeah, fatigue. It was one of those where, as you say, we're used to Bulldogs lines harassing quarterbacks. They won this game without doing it. Aguiar, like say, threw two interceptions that he probably shouldn't have thrown, but they weren't because of necessarily like getting harassed and being flushed out of the pocket. His O-line did pretty well and kept him a clean game. But ultimately, when your defense is on a long time, like I say, when a team is leading possession quite strongly, there, and as you say, Georgia, I mean, they're not running the ball very well, but as you look, they did it a strong branch by back committee. Like I say, they're going at 3.6 yards a carry, but they're just chipping away at you. And eventually, if you chip away long enough, you know that you will find a big crack and it will wear down the opposing defense. And ultimately, that did happen. That was the case.
51 carries for Georgia. Like, that's going to take its toll on you when those offensive linemen are mauling you for 51 plays in a game. Like, and you could just see them, like you said, it's at 4 yards per carry. They got 208 yards, but again, 51 carries, that's quite a lot of carries to get that amount of running. But you look at the disparity between the offenses here, like say Guiar, 24 of 36, 361 yards, four touchdowns, yes, two interceptions, but I mean, we've got to remember he is a brand new power quarterback. He's been at the group of five for the last 2 years. He has had problems with turnovers, but this spread offense is suiting him to hell at Tennessee right now. He does look very comfortable in it. And considering how late he arrived and how he might not have got the job, he's beaten a starter out. He looks great, and he's got some very promising targets there.
Yeah, Brazil already looks like one of the best receivers in the country. Like I said, there's a good amount of weapons from there to progress. I think he's made a good decision to come here. And I mean, ultimately, he scared off the starter. That has to play in my mind. Like I say, he was breathing down his neck and now he's got the job. And I think ultimately, long term, like I say, this loss, it'll hurt, but it won't hold them back. It won't define the season. And I think Joey will gain a lot of admirers in the SEC pretty quickly. Started the season well. And I think if he has a good year, I think it's like I say, the Vols fans will take to him very quickly and that he can make them a contender in his time here.
And then on the flip side, though, Gunnar Stockton's going the route that a lot of these Georgia quarterbacks seem to go. They're not very heralded. They're not the next big flashy thing, and you kind of get the feeling from them early on that they're not much. But Gunnar Stockton, for all his cons and whatnot, is turning himself into a great player. Look, 23 of 31, efficient passing the ball, 294 yards, two touchdowns, no picks. He took four sacks in this game as well. He was under a lot of pressure this game, and some of the throws he made, that one at the end to tie this thing up is one of the most beautiful throws you'll see this season. He's slowly but surely molding himself into one of the more underrated quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's not overly flashy. It wasn't exactly a huge name when got there. Like you say, he's obviously had to bide his time, and he's obviously been in the shadow of a lot of I'd say more high profile recruits and that at his time. But yeah, he's waited patiently. Now he's got his job, and as you say, he just goes really hard about his job. Like you say, he's a good student of the game. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way, and he commands an offense that clears a lot of respect for him. So yeah, he's about doing the basics right and doing it really well, and so far he's doing a good job of that. So I think he's someone that ultimately will leave this team in a lot better place than he found it, and he'll leave with a lot more respect than he probably entered with.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone else who's had to wait their time in college football and has maybe not quite reached their potential who looked good in this, Zachariah Branch finally seems to be emerging from his shell after a very long time. You saw the electric playmaker that he can be in this one, and Georgia will desperately need him if they want to go far this year. But you saw him come to the fore in this. He looks like he's finally found his footing.
Yeah, everyone saw flashes at USC, but they didn't see the consistency. And when he went in the portal, like say him and his brother, like say they got a ton of interest. They decided they were going to go together. They visited ASU. There would have been a big coup if they got one of them, but ultimately the bright lights of the Bulldogs. It's too dazzling. Like I say, they're going to get you where you want to be if you want to go to the NFL. Like I say, right now, I mean, the workload for him it's not massive. It never has been. But the fact is, he's a do-it-all guy. Can catch, like you say, he can block, he can return. He is a dangerous weapon. He's already matched. Like I say, he only had three receiving touchdowns in his time at Trojans. He's got two already. So he's going to good chance he's going to eclipse all his numbers. He's only a junior as well. So if I'm him with such a little workload, I'm definitely coming back my senior year. Like I say,
Mm.
'cause he can be he'll be the number one guy, potentially be like say the one that could be the number one face next year. So yeah, it's a good start for him while he's now here, and now he can be forward and hopefully maximize eligibility here, potentially win a national title.
Potentially. But I mean, for Josh Hoople, this is another James Franklin thing, an ability to crash the top tier of the SEC has gone wasted in a game where your defense was doing well, your offense was doing well, but ultimately just maybe, like you say, outcoached a little bit at the end. It's becoming worrying now. Like they've got to make the jump sooner rather than later, and they don't seem to be able to make that leap.
No, Josh Heupel is another. He's a bridesmaid, not a bride. He's James Franklin, like I say. He's never going to be the guy, and it's not because he's got bad football teams. It just seems there's always something that when these huge games come up, that yeah, they're just found wanting. And ultimately, you can coach 100 games, you could win 80 of them. But if 10 of those 20 you lose are to all the big teams in the SEC and they're all top 10 ranked matchups, that'll be the only thing you're defined by is how you do well in them. But Lane Kiffin, he'll win hundreds of games at Ole Miss, like through 10 years. If he loses all the big ones, the ones that would have them firmly in the SEC title race, no one will have all good to say about him. And I think Josh is one of those, like I say, he's on the precipice of being remembered as another what if guy.
Yeah.
What could have happened? Like I say, still plenty of time to turn it around, still plenty of time to potentially make a national title run. But yeah, you're already 0-1. Like I say, so yeah, you don't have time. Time is of the essence in the SEC because you can quickly find yourself 1-2, 2-3 in conference play. It can derail your season pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tough for him. And then quick shout out, and we've not talked about defense much in this, but KJ Bolden, another pick for him. I look, and every week I see the number one safety in the NFL in 3 years. Like he is transcendent and was one of the few Georgia secondary players who came out of this one with some credit. He just gets better every week. They say that's going to be a number one safety in the NFL at some point.
Yeah, he's the guy's just a sophomore, like I say, but he plays the game like a veteran. He plays the game like he watches film, like he does his homework. And last year he came in, like I say, had a good year, not a great year as a true freshman, but he laid down the foundations. And like I say, you look at the numbers already now, and you just tell he's going to blow last year out of the water. KJ Bolden and Caleb Downs, they're just a different breed right now to whoever else is in the nation. And yeah, you're already looking at them thinking, yeah, how high they're going to go. How high could they go at the next level? Because they will be maximum. Yeah, as soon as they're eligible, they'll have all the film they need. They'll have all the
Oh
testing.
yeah.
Like you said, they're going to jump.
Oh yeah, KJ's going in the 27 draft. That's going to be he's going to go as high as Kyle Hamilton did, if not higher. Probably going to go higher. So He looks absolutely tremendous. But yeah, wonderful win for Georgia, the will of a champion, and for Tennessee once again falling short. And, it's going to be a matter of time, and the fans are eventually going to lose patience with that. There's only so long you can do this until you get fed up of being the bridesmaid, as Ryan says. But anywho, we're moving it on because we've still an absolute ton to talk about this week. And another one of the top 18 who got upset this weekend. Ryan's going to have a big grin on this face because he called this. He said it was going to happen, and we both had this team doing very well this year. Number 12, Clemson, on the road at Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets. The Yellow Jackets we've talked about a lot in recent years. The team who they have also been the nearly bridesmaid of this. They never quite caught the bouquet of flowers. You had the big win against Florida State last year to open the game in Ireland. And then the season just kind of fell away, and it just seems every time they make a little move forward, their mediocrity catches up with them. Well, they've dropped the biggest statement win they have under this current regime with their current quarterback, and now you've got to break this seal. You've broken the glass ceiling partially. Now you've got to burst the rest of it out of there and go on. Georgia Tech win 24-21 against Clemson in a result that barely seemed palatable at some point. We had this Clemson team been absolute monsters this year, and I don't know what it is. Something's just not clicking, and you look at this offense and its run game, and you get concerned about what it is. But I mean, Georgia Tech dominated this game to start with, and I mean dominated. Clemson got nothing going on offense whatsoever in terms of their drives in the first half alone. First drive, 5 plays, 12 yards, fumble, 10 plays, 44 yards, missed field goal, 3 plays, 7 yards, punt. And by this time, you're 13-0 down. A couple of field goals from Georgia Tech. Aiden Burr hit from 40 and 42. In between that, Jamal Haynes, their superstar running back, he had a 5-yard rushing touchdown. So with 7 minutes of the first half to go, Georgia Tech leading 13-0. Clemson strike just before the half. It is a fourth and goal at the Georgia Tech one. They go for it, realizing, yeah, we're probably going to need the touchdown here. Cade Klubnik is able to run it in from a yard out, sends them in down 13-7 at the half. And then they come out after the half and you think, here we go. This is the real Clemson. Bryant Wesco Jr., 73-yard touchdown pass from Cade Klubnik to give the Tigers the lead with 10 minutes left in the third quarter, and you're thinking, yep, this is where Clemson go. Georgia Tech are going to fall away. But then Clemson's drive chart goes dead again. 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. 3 plays, 6 yards, punt. And then Georgia Tech make them pay. Haynes King has a rushing touchdown himself from the quarterback position, and they go for two. They bring on Malik Rutherford. They bring out the trick play. So Malik Rutherford has a pass to Dean Patterson for the 2-point conversion. Georgia Tech break out the trick shot to put themselves 7 points up, meaning Clemson can't go ahead with just the required touchdown. Then both teams punt it to one another again. And then the last two drives of the game end up in touchdowns. Clemson score first. Adam Randall, he got himself a rushing touchdown from 2 yards out to tie up the game 21-all with 3 minutes 26 seconds to go. And the last drive of the game, 10 plays, 38 yards from Georgia Tech. They get to they send their field goal kicker Aiden Burr out there. Time is about to expire. They use their last timeout. He is 55 yards away from sealing the win for Georgia Tech. I think it was a school record attempt for them from 55. And Burr absolutely nails this thing about as close down the center as you can. It's one of the most perfect field goals you have seen in the world from 55 yards out. And Aiden Burr, Ryan, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets walk off Clemson to make them 1-2 on the year. And another team and this is an ACC result as well. Their season is in even more jeopardy now because of this. But we say this every year about the Yellow Jackets. They play a good game and then the mediocrity comes back to hit them. But I don't know. Something felt different about this time. They went and beat Clemson at their own game in the trenches and took them down.
Yeah, tremendous win for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. This might be the best. This is probably one of the best games Haynes King's ever played in college. It was pretty much perfect. Like I said, 20 of 28, and like I say, 103 from 25 on the ground. The Tech Yellow Jackets are 3-0, and he has not got a passing touchdown on the year. That's kind of remarkable. Like I said, that's credit to one, their offensive line. It's allowing them to run the ball every week. It is mauling teams. It's creating huge holes. They're having a tremendous year managing, like I say, how they're because they're doing it by committee as well, like I say, because usually Haynes would also be there. So it's a great workforce there. But their defense as well. It has been so good this year. Just stifling teams, just getting in passing lanes, making it very difficult. So, like I say, K Klubnik, he really did not have a nice day at all. Just over 50% passing. Like I say, he was very uncomfortable most of the day. But the Tech, yeah, like I say, three penalties of 16 yards. Like I say, that is tremendous. Like I say, no turnovers. That is about as disciplined as you can play because you know you can't afford to give Clemson any free yardage at any point. If you give them a inch, they'll take a mile, and they didn't do it. Like I say, and the coach, he drilled them all week. Like I say, don't show them too much respect, and they didn't do that. And right now, I mean, look at the rest of their contract, but there's not a lot to stop them winning the ACC now. When I look at their schedule, there's not many things that are really going to stand in their way. It's going to be themselves. So they've set themselves up now for potentially massive year.
Yeah, they have. Again, you can see all the sort of stats up and there, and for the most part, you'd look at this and you'd think, well, Clemson were going to be the team that won 7 yards per offensive play to Georgia Tech's 5.3, 8 yards per dropback for Clemson, but nearly 8 yards for Georgia Tech as well in fair. But third down success, Clemson better. Red zone, Georgia Tech were actually better in this discipline, but you look at Georgia Tech's defense. Look here when it comes to pressure plays. 7 tackles for loss for Clemson, 3 against the pass, 4 against the rush, a sack. Georgia Tech's defensive line had 1 tackle for loss all game. That was it. 1 tackle for loss against the run. No sacks. They're not exactly forcing Cade Klubnik to, throw from a prone position every time because he's got 5 defenders around him. They were just so good in coverage and, we get down to the turnover battle here. -2 for Clemson. The lost fumble, the interception thrown, and look at that, the turnover look. 9 points. Georgia Tech scoring off the turnovers. 9 points in a game that you win by 3. That's the game there for Clemson. Turnovers lose you games. And I mean, they had less offensive plays, Clemson. They had much more offensive yardage, better running, same passing. It's just the efficiency of what you get with it. And it's we go back to Clemson again. It feels like the running game. There's something wrong there with it. Like Wesco's had another major day. Every single target caught for 124 yards and a touchdown. But I get it. Randall goes for 5.3 yards per carry, 16 for 86 and a touchdown. But it doesn't feel right. Like the run game just doesn't. Again, I don't know why Gideon Davidson's not getting a look in. It sounds silly with his. You look at the running back stats and you think it's fine, but the run game doesn't feel right for Clemson right now. It feels what's holding back. And Klubnik, he's stagnated. He's not taking his next step forward as a passer.
Yeah. And yeah, I've never felt more wrong. Like I say, because Klubnik looks terrible to start this year. I don't know. Is it stage fright? Is it the fact that now everybody is looking at him, like I say, practically ready to hand him the Heisman, ready to say Clemson are back, and now, like you say, he's under a ton of pressure. He's crumbling. Like I say, and he's not handling well at all with an insanely talented receiver core on his day. Like I say, Dabo, people are doubting Dabo heavily. He's coming out to some heavy criticism and he's firing back, and he's usually not someone to do that. But yeah, he has not stayed quiet in the wake of this criticism. But yeah, there's a lot of things on his Clemson team right now that are not going well for him. Like I say, in his time there as well, think about, like I say, the previous running regimes they've had. Like I say, they've had some elite run games in recent years, but it just feels like right now they're kind of just chugging along. Like I say, and it's yeah, like I said, Randall's not putting up bad numbers, but it just feels like whatever it's doing, it's not taking pressure off Cade.
No. No, it's not. It's just from me watching them, it feels convoluted. It feels like it's not chain moving very well, and I don't know whether there's just some big runs sort of stat pad in this, but there's something wrong. And it's just not working. And this defense, I mean, it can only do so much. It's only given up 24 points. It's not like it's giving up 30s or 40s, but that defensive line is also just a bit you would it needed to be elite. Like this talent wise has the potential to be one of the most elite defenses in the country, but they are also not acting like it. Even though they're doing well, they're not doing great, which they maybe should be.
No, it doesn't feel like any part of the Tigers really is living up to its potential. Like I say, what we know is the most fierce defense in the country, but it feels like, say, Hannafin, too many tackles. If your safety's making 10 tackles in a game, that usually does not bode well. That's not
No.
a good thing to happen next. That means they're bypassing the defensive line and the midfield, the linebackers. Like I say, he's a great player, but he's doing too much. He's had too busy a start this year. Like I say, right now, that defense is not getting home, and it really is struggling. Like I say, they're giving up bonehead players, explosive players. Yeah, they're holding, but at the same time, yeah, they're still holding opponents to very obtainable goals. They're
Hmm.
still giving them multiple chances to win. But yeah,
Yeah.
they are struggling to put points on the board right now.
No, it's tough watching for them. But for Georgia Tech, I mean, we've said now, this is it. Like you've had so many stop starts now where you've done something, then you've regressed back right away. You are very rarely going to get to beat Clemson. And you look at the schedule after, so that's a winning conference now. So you've got Temple next week, which is a new layup. You can have a little bit of time off, but Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Duke, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Pittsburgh. Like, you're not facing Florida State, you're not facing SMU, you're not facing UNC. Like, this schedule, this is the do or die year now. If you can beat Clemson, you can beat the rest of these teams, and you need to. Otherwise, these wins won't mean as much going forward because, you can have the odd flash in a pan, but you can't be consistent.
Bearing in mind, Brent Key in December got a 6-year extension after a 7 and 5 year. They have committed a lot of money to him. And he's one of at 47 years old, he's another one for me. He is going to get a big job sooner rather than later. But I
Mm.
want to see him go out on a high. As you say right now, you just read out their schedule. 7 and 5, that will not cut the mustard this year.
No.
It's got to be 9 and 3.
Mm.
Like I say, it has to be an ACC title berth. The only games, like I say, their last game of the season is Georgia. By then, Georgia Tech should have already booked their place. The biggest game I see left is NC State. And that game is going to be absolutely massive. They have got to go in there with as few losses as possible, and everything will be on the line at this rate for both teams.
Yeah, both unbeaten. So, early
Yeah, the
start
world
in
is
the
their oyster right
ACC.
now. If they want to run the table, they can run the table.
And we asked the question once more. What is Haynes King? 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground,
Yeah.
efficient through the air. It just feels like there is some form of an NFL quarterback in there somewhere with that potential. It's so hard to kind of classify him, but he just keeps doing it.
Yeah, it's not pretty. He runs like a big gangly spider, but the guy is effective. The guy is in God, he's hard to bring down in the open field. He just, like I say, he just wriggles out of tackles. He fights for every yardage. And ultimately, yeah, if you minimize his passing attempts, which they do try to do, he doesn't put the ball in harm's way. You never want him
No.
throwing 30, 35 attempts because usually that means your game plan's kind of derailed. You want him
Mm.
throwing as little as possible and then give him a lot of design plays, like I say, to run the ball. That's
Mm.
where he will hurt teams. And right now it's working.
Yep, you had a 40-60 split between your pass and run in this. That's exactly where Georgia Tech want to be. 40-60 works for them. Shout out to Eric Rivers as well, the FIU transfer. 3 catches, 72 yards for him. He's becoming a home run hitter. He was a big one at FIU. He's doing it in the Power 4 now, so a name to keep an eye on. in your draft circles.
Clemson now, I don't know where they go from here. Their
Eh,
uh, their 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 playoffs are not out of the water, but the ACC title, which is probably the easiest path there, kind of on life support right now.
Yeah,
The next couple of weeks are very difficult. I
yeah.
think anyone calling for saying Dabo's in trouble, I think that's a little bit premature. Like, I think maybe Tigers fans are a bit spoiled. What
Hmm.
you have one terrible start to the season, and suddenly the man that has delivered everything to you on a silver platter for like last decade, what he's not the guy. You question him. I think that's disrespectful.
It is. I mean, there's still a lot of great individual talent on that team. I mean, thinking of just this game
Let's be honest,
alone,
yeah, you get rid of
Sammy.
Dabo, every team in the country,
Yeah.
he'll be on a nationwide tour of interviews.
I mean, you think Sammy Brown looks legit,
Yeah.
like
Brown
completely
and Ridgewood,
legit.
as like I said, they're building a form. It's early days, but they're
Yeah.
building a partnership.
Yeah. Avion Terrell looks tremendous as well. They can still go places. So, this is a defense that can win a
The
national
schedule's going to be
title.
brutal, but like I said, yeah, the remaining games
Mm.
you've got UNC, you've got SMU, you've got Duke, you've got Florida State, you've got Louisville, and you've got South Carolina. We're really going to see what
Mm.
they're made of because that is not a kind schedule for a team that is
No.
not low on confidence.
No, that game against Florida State could end up being huge eventually down the line, unless they've ran into us at Raleigh at that point. But yeah, Clemson down, not quite out yet, but a result we didn't expect. But fair play to you, you called it. You said it was the time for the Yellow Jackets to do what they wanted. So, they have their. Lisa goes, what the heck is going on with Clemson? I mean, ultimately, I don't know. Is it just a slow start? I mean, Will Held looks good. The guys look good. I think it's something on that offense. I think it's Klubnik. If I'm going to say something, I think it's Klubnik's just holding them back a little bit. And if he settles, things might get better for them. But yeah, it's tough going at the moment. And we said I said they were going to win the Natty this year, so I pray to God
Yeah,
that
I
they
said he was going
turn
to win the
this
Heisman.
one around.
That pipe dream is over unless he has a miracle.
Yeah, yeah. We've already got some predictions this year that are already getting blown out the water a bit. Speaking of things potentially getting blown out the water, yeah, I got picked to follow a team this year, and I thought they were going to do very well. I thought they had a very good quarterback, and I thought this might be the year where they break their own glass ceiling. But unfortunately, it all came potentially crashing down in week 3 for the South Carolina Gamecocks at home to a plucky but very much beatable Vanderbilt side who we've all known to grow and love this last couple of years under Diego Pavia. And they rolled into South Carolina, who have beaten them 16 times in a row, I believe it was, before this game happened. But the Vandy Pimps, as I'm now calling them, thanks to SEC Shorts, the Vandy Pimps rolled into South Carolina and absolutely weed whacked South Carolina. And no part down to an injury, down to Lenoris
That definitely
Sellers
changed the
at
game.
quarterback, which changed the game. A very bad officiating call, which also potentially changed this game as well, which I think Shane Beamer was on the
Oh
verge of
my
going to kill
goodness. Yeah.
somebody when this was gone. But star receiver Nicholas Harbour also ruled out the game with an injury. If you could write a list of 5 things that don't need to happen in this game, like 5 of the worst things that could happen to a team in this game so that they might lose it, South Carolina ticked off 1 through 5. Vandy took advantage of some questionable officiating and some big injuries and walloped South Carolina 31-7. Now, don't get me wrong, Vandy started this game well. Pavia to Cedric Alexander to start this one off, 18-yard touchdown throw for the running back to put them 7-0 up. Superstar transfer Russell Faison got what I believe is his first touchdown of the year in response to South Carolina's 7-yard run with 5 minutes left in the first quarter to tie it up at 7 apiece. But then the Lenoris Sellers injury occurs and it seems very innocuous. He takes a hit to the helmet, but it's not targeting. I don't think it was called targeting, but it wasn't malicious, whatever it was. It didn't look like the biggest hit in the world,
I think
but
it was.
whatever.
I think it did lead to an ejection.
Did it get targeting? Oh,
Yeah, I
it may
think
have
it
got done
was.
targeting.
But it
What?
definitely didn't look like it. It
No.
didn't look that hard.
No, it didn't look malicious, whatever it was. It felt, and like he kind of got up afterwards and didn't look loosey goosey or anything like that. But he went to the sideline, immediately took his helmet off, and he was done, which meant they had to put Luke Doty in at quarterback. And they just weren't able to get anything going. The drive chart for South Carolina was slightly hideous. I mean, the first play after Doty throws an interception. It went 6 plays, 43 yards, but then they turned it over. Then they went 6 plays, 11 yards. They went 10 plays, 40 yards, but then missed a field goal in the last 2 minutes before the half. And then in the second half, it's even worse. They went a punt after 3 yards, 9 plays, turnover on downs, a 5 play drive that went for 1 yard, then they fumbled and gave it away, a 2 play drive that went 26 yards, and then they fumbled it away, and then a 10 play, 62-yard drive at the end, which ended in Doty throwing his second interception. So that is after the opening touchdown, interception, punt, missed field goal, punt, downs, fumble, interception, and a partridge in a pear tree. And Vandy just went on and took advantage here. Pavia to Junior Sherrill, who had himself a hell of a game, really like that there. Jamizel Lassiter had a 44-yard touchdown run. There was a 51-yard field goal from Brock Taylor, and just at the end to cap it all off, Cedric Alexander had a touchdown run, and South Carolina got pinged for an unsportsmanlike conduct. I think the guy got ejected out
Yeah,
of the
Dylan
game
Stewart.
as well, and it just this was a rough game. I mean, for Vandy first, this is a game in the past that Vandy still would have lost. This is a legitimate Vandy team. They have pass catchers all over the field. They run the ball very well. And, Diego Pavia once again, it did throw one pick, which wasn't very good. But apart from that, clean, clear football. Clark Lee should be given a hell of a lot of credit for what he's done there. He's breaking records every year. They've not beaten Bama since well back in the 1900s. They've not beaten South Carolina in 17 years. And his team continue to defy the odds and be a pain in the arse that nobody wants to play. Like, all the Carolina stuff aside, Vandy, you've got to keep taking your hat off to them and how well they're playing.
Oh yeah, they executed the game plan well. People online saying, "Oh, they're dirty. They came to headhunt." It was just physical. It's a physical brand of football. Players get hurt. Yes, they come in, they fly around. So be it. Like I say, you can't blame that. Yeah, they came in, they did their job. They still showed the level of respect that when Sellers came out, they came in, they played the same pressure at Dota, and they went after him. Like I said, Pavia right now, I don't think any player in the country has got a bigger chip on the shoulder. He feels like he has got to prove himself every week because, like I said, he's got a big goal, but right now he's doing a good job of backing it up, and people can't give him any credit. Like I say, he cashes the checks that his mouth writes right now, and the Commodores, yeah, they are nationally relevant right now. Clark Lee, another one. Him and Summerall are the two guys I watch for the big jobs coming up. I know he loves Van Den. He's done a great job, but I say it will be hard to keep hold of Clark Lee. Like I say, in his mid 40s, like I say, he is one for the future. But right now, but yeah, there's tons of talent all over this Vandy team, and it's all pulling its weight very well. And yeah, everything went wrong for South Carolina, but you still got to be professional. Vanderbilt
Mm,
still put out 4 quarters of professional football. They just didn't, yeah, they could have rid off the coattails of, like, say, everything going wrong for South Carolina. But yeah, in the end, they punished them for it. The mistakes that happened, the turnovers, they made sure that they capitalized on them. And they always, like I say, benefited and made the most of it. Like I said, in the end, it was a very well-rounded performance.
yeah, and you say,
I think you still win if Lenoir Sellers plays the whole game.
yeah, I
I didn't
think
see anything to convince me otherwise that South Carolina were going to win the game anyway.
no, like I say, Dylan Stewart got done for a late hit on Pavia. You can't really have that.
That
You
was
have the
just tardiness,
unsportsmanlike
wasn't
conduct.
it? And how
Yeah,
he'll miss first half of Missouri, which is a massive game.
yeah, like it was pure frustration you could see mounted because this
Got to be
was meant to
smart
be
in
their
that game.
year. Yeah, and you look here and it's Again, you have to take the injuries into account. Vandy had a defensive stop rate of 51%, like over half of Carolina's drive. Well, should have
Yeah.
been more than that,
In most
really.
sports, especially in football, a team is only as good as its backup quarterback. That is the ceiling of any team. If a
Hmm.
guy can't come in and relieve, like say, fill in industry, then you're kind of doomed. Like I say, no
No,
disrespect to Doty, but yeah, he is not an SEC starting quarterback. And that's the reason he's a senior and never been a starter. You don't ever want to play him.
no, you don't. Like you see, solid Sellers there, 6 of 6 for 86 yards. And he
Yeah,
got sacked once, but it's clear he's 100% at his passing. Maybe it changed. Doty ends up going 18 of 26. So I mean, he's throwing at 75%, but
like I say, less than 10 yards of completion. Like
it is.
they're check downs, weren't they? Like they were.
Yeah, and he only got sacked once, but obviously you can't throw the interceptions. They're tardy. Run game, Faison does all right, 15 carries for 74 yards. There's not much outside of that. Harbour had 4 catches for 66 yards. He gets hurt as well, so not only does your quarterback go off, but your star receiver, he looks like he's ready to break out now. He's
Definitely
he's
started the season well.
improved.
He looks more
Yeah.
well prepared this year.
He looks a lot more polished. But when your starting QB goes down, there's only so much you can really do in this situation, and it's tough. But for Vandy, plays all over the field. Martel Height, the two-way player, I mean, he took carries in the backfield. He had 4 catches on 4 targets for 33 yards. He played defensive snaps as well. So they're still trying that experiment with him, but no doubt that he looks good. But for Beamer, this is, I mean, I don't know what Lawrence Sellers' designation is this week, but it's Missouri this week. And if you're going to be in the SEC title contention, you've got to beat teams like Missouri, but Pribula and co. I mean, I know they're playing a scrub schedule so far, but I mean, damned if they don't look good right now. It's going to be really tough for them. Doty's playing, they're going to be massive underdogs for that game.
Yeah, like I say, Dylan Stewart missing a half. You got Sellers, like I say, that's already questionable. Harbour potentially questionable. That's probably three of your leaders in those position groups. And you've seen Doughty now. I mean, I'd expect Luke to look better if he knew early in the week he was starting because he'd be getting all the practice reps and like saying, yeah, but yeah, it's going to be different. Like I said, when you see a backup quarterback in Missouri, they're going to bring the pressure. They're going to bring the heat. You've just seen a
Mm.
quarterback turn the ball over under pressure. And you've got the best running back right now, probably in the SEC. You've got a quarterback that has found his feet at a new home. SE, yeah, USC has got definitely got to work out this week. It's a great shot for Missouri to go out there and make a statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vandy have already now played a game in conference, so they get to go. They've got Georgia State and Utah State next, so a couple of group of 5 teams. But then, I mean, this is brutal. Their schedule: Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, who are ranked as well. So that is 5 ranked teams in a row before finishing with Kentucky and Tennessee, who are ranked as well. But I tell you what, right?
That's good for them though. Like
Whereas 6 ranked teams in 7 games before would have seemed brutal now, I don't think Alabama, LSU, Missouri, Tennessee, Texas, I don't think anyone's going to want. They nearly beat Texas last year. They beat Alabama last year. They played LSU close. None of these teams are going to want to play them because they are the biggest banana skin you can come up against without playing another elite side.
oh yeah, after how they've started this year and after last year, they're going to have to show them a lot more respect than they have in the past, and
Hmm.
that will lead to yeah, there's going to be some really close games there.
And if Clark Lee can scalp 2 of those, I reckon. Like, if you can scalp 2 of those 5 ranked teams, you'd look at Missouri, but if you can scalp one of the really big ones, they say James Franklin transitioned a period at Vanderbilt into the Penn State job. Like, that's the kind of job you can get by doing well at Vandy, and Clark Lee could go the same way.
Oh yeah, there's a handful of teams you've just named that they'll be playing the game, but they will also be looking at Clark Lee very closely to see, like, say, if he's a potential future fit. Because there's a lot of teams you've just named there that within the next 18, 24 months, they will be shopping for head coach, I think.
Absolutely, they will. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to see Vandy this year and see how many. Because yeah, after the two group of 4 to 5 teams are done now, then yeah. it's going to be tough sledding for them, but none of those teams are going to want to play them whatsoever. Right, taking a look at other teams that played in this one. So the other top 18 side to lose, and maybe saying top 18 is disingenuous, but the fairy tale run of USF came to its end, Ryan. We kind of pontificated maybe that Miami of Florida were going to be a step too far. After victories over Boise and Florida, you think, could they do the three in a row? Ultimately, they couldn't, and they got beaten out pretty easy in this one. But I mean, if you're a USF fan, you start with Boise, you start with Florida, you start with Miami of Florida. If you're coming out of that 2-1, about to go into your AAC season, I mean, you're not disappointed here. Yes, it was 49-12, but this Hurricanes team looks legit. I mean, they got a couple of turnovers on Carson Beck. Still, they were able to do well, but ultimately just a step too far. But they're gonna do really well this year. Chaz Nimrod had another massive game. Byron Brown looked decent for the most part in this game. Their good players are still playing well, and you've got to fancy them as a contender for the American this year.
Yeah. If you'd offered them a 2-1 start and like say they said you lose to Miami but you win the first two, I imagine most fans would have been delighted with that. Like I say, it's one of those where great start of the year, but they came up against a team with the perfect game plan, and that is to stop Byron Brown running the ball. And boy, did they do that. The Hurricanes defense is legit. That D line and that linebacker group is one of the best in the country right now. And they executed that to best. Like I say, and in the end, if they can't do that, if UCF can't run the ball, it kind of just holds them back to be a one-dimensional. But yeah, Carson Beck, he was perfect on the season, like say, turning our ball over until he met them. Like say, they took it off him. Like say, they gave themselves a chance. But yeah, it kind of unraveled quickly. They fell behind very quickly. And in the end, it was just a bridge too far for them. But yeah, they're entering American play. They should still be super sky high on confidence. From what I've seen them so far, they should beat most teams in that conference.
Yeah, it's just a matter of whether you can take this non-con play because again, it's consistency. You can start.
It's one of those where, yeah, they've set themselves up well. The players they need to are in good spirits. They've got hit the ground running, and they've left themselves in a good position to get very competitive. And yeah, I agree with you. The Canners should be trying to win the conference.
Mm.
The bar has been raised now. Like I say, expectations of fans are high. You've got a lot to live up to right now.
Yeah, you do, and your playmakers are still playing well. Chenault, the cornerback, another interception for him. He's looked really good to start the year. Schuler, your favorite linebacker, I think another double-digit tackle day for him. Like, you've got the playmakers you need. Byron Brown, Chaz Nimrod on offense. It does really feel like it is the year for them, but the guys still played well in this one in parts.
Yeah, like I say, they all their playmakers came up. They all did a good job. They were competitive early in the game. It got away from them fairly quickly. Like I say, in the end, it was kind of the Miami show, but they played their part in a game, and ultimately they came up against a fairly immovable object. I mean, Carson Beck, I've not exactly always been his biggest fan. He surprised me. I'll give him that. He has surprised me how well he started the year. He's playing some great football right now. Maybe is that because he's in the ACC now? Like I said, in the start of the competition. Like I said, maybe does he look better now he's at the SEC? Quite possibly. But yeah, there is room for him to grow and provide him. But right now, the Hurricanes are in a great position. They've got a quarterback that is moving the ball very efficiently. They can run the ball, and that defense got a chance to be scary. Like I say, Ruben Bain, you're talking top five, top 10 draft pick potentially next year. The sky for this year is him pretty good. So yeah, both teams should be very happy with where they are in the season right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously Miami, Florida, way higher than up, and Cristobal, it could be that. The team was very hyped up last year with Cam Ward. It feels like the expectations are a bit down this year. Maybe it works better for them. So, they can travel under the radar a bit. And the ACC's wide open with Clemson losing. They can go out and win the entire thing and make the playoffs at least this year. So they look like they're going to be good on that. Moving on. And the next one of my favorite games of the entire year and named the show last week after it, the Backyard Brawl. And I am so happy with myself because I went against the grain, against every single person on our college pick watch. They all had Pittsburgh to win. Pittsburgh were 7-point favorites. Bearing in mind they were a road team going into West Virginia. West Virginia coming off a crushing loss to Ohio out of the group of five and losing their star running back for the year. And I mean, you saw in this game parts of it, like Pittsburgh played well. West Virginia were frisky. They hung around. Hang on, I'll come back to this in a minute. But Pittsburgh jumped out to a big lead late in this game, and you're thinking this game is kind of going how you expect it to towards the end. So West Virginia started off with a touchdown. Ty Edwards had a 12-yard touchdown run. Pittsburgh only able to respond with a short field goal, and then Ty Edwards again, the backup for Jaheim White, his second rushing touchdown of the game. And this was with 8 minutes left in the third quarter. So in the second half, it was very defensive, very attritional, defensive lines going all over the place like we know they can in the first half. And then it really opened up. But 14-3 Pittsburgh lead. They respond very quickly. Eli Holstein, the pick quarterback, has himself a touchdown run from a yard out. They score the 2-pointer to get it to 14-11. The next three scores are from Pittsburgh. They have two field goals from 46 yards and 36 yards. And then Raphael Williams Jr. has a touchdown pass hauled in from Eli Holstein to put Pittsburgh 24-14 up with just 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you're kind of thinking that's all she wrote for West Virginia. It looked like the tank was empty for them. With 5 minutes left, they got into a first and goal situation in the pit, 5-yard line, but they ended up having to settle for a field goal. They ended up fourth and third at the pit four. They kicked the field goal with 5 minutes left to get within a score, and they were able to manufacture one last drive. They got one last stop out of Pittsburgh, and they gave themselves 2.5 minutes to get down the field and try and salvage this game. And with 11 seconds left, down at second and goal at the Pittsburgh 2, Grayson Barnes hauls in a 2-yard touchdown pass from Nico Marchiol to send the crowd crazy and to send this thing into overtime. And in overtime, West Virginia finished this thing off. Ty Edwards with his third rushing touchdown of the day. Pittsburgh not able to score in overtime. And against all the odds, I told people form does not matter when it comes to the backyard brawl. You could have the best team in the world against the worst team in the world, and they're still even on the day. A team, Ryan, in West Virginia that looked dead and buried last week after losing one of their star players and losing to a group of five team, coming up against a Pittsburgh team, scoring freely, defense all over the place, causing havoc everywhere. They somehow come out with the win, and that is what the brawl is about. It is brutal, it is tough, it is frenetic, and only the hardiest of souls win it. And West Virginia, what a victory for them after what happened the week before. And for Pittsburgh, another false start is ruined.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh should be ashamed of themselves. 14 flags for 118 yards. That is downright despicable. I'd absolutely be losing my mind if I was the head coach. They let that occasion totally get under their skin. The Mountaineers players were living rent-free in all their heads. They did everything they could to wind them up, and they got a reaction out all the time. They're too easy to guard. Too many pre-snap penalties, too many lack of discipline, could not help themselves after players getting into it. Like I say, it was too chippy. Like I said, West Virginia did a great job of staying composed and not reacting, not getting involved, just get out of there quickly. And in the end, yeah, Pittsburgh just helped West Virginia constantly. And then, like you say, look at the rushing game. Pittsburgh, no rush game. And despite West Virginia losing CJ Donaldson, like I say, to the Paul, like I say, one of their star talisman players, yeah, they did not miss a beat at all in the rush game. They absolutely nullified the Pittsburgh defensive front that is always stout. It gashed them. Like I say, it controlled the line of play, and it also gave them nearly 30 first downs to 15. It absolutely crucified them in that sense. And in the end, it took a lot of pressure off. Like I say, don't get me wrong, Markel wasn't great, and Fox was terrible, but the run game took an entire lot of pressure, whoever was under centre for the most part. So it was very good in that aspect. Like I said, they were able to control the line of scrimmage and then kind of just bleed clock in the end, which would be for them. But yeah, great win for them. Like I said, after a severe injury and having to use multiple quarterbacks in a game, they did very well to come out of that. Like I said, it's a huge win for them. It means a lot to them. It's their biggest game of the year, really. Because, like I say, West Virginia night now, not tons to play for in recent years. So they kind of just circle this one as pure bragging rights. But yeah, they won it by keeping their composure and playing a tough, stiff, run first, heavy offense. And in the end, Pittsburgh, they just could not compete with that. They couldn't win in the trenches, and they also couldn't win in the mental battle either.
No, and look at some of the damning stuff here. 15 drives for Pittsburgh. The average starting field position was the 41. For West Virginia, it was the 25. You've got a full down and a half more of a field to use on 15 drives, and you can't win a game. That is damning. I mean, you know it's tough going anyhow. Neither team went above 6 yards per play. You know, you're hovering around the 52nd percentile there. I mean, 40th for Pittsburgh. Explosive plays may as well not have existed. It's low. Third down success rate, 18% for Pittsburgh. 18% on your third downs. I mean, West Virginia not much better. They were double at 35, but that's still 30th percentile. They were both terrible. Pittsburgh 32% in the red zone. The havoc rate that we used to see in there. I mean, both teams had 3 sacks, which is fine. You know, you expect a lot there, but outside of that, there were 3 interceptions in the backfield. It was rough. It was tough. Pittsburgh actually won the turnover battle in this. They had 4 point turnover luck. They had 16-yard better starting field position in the game, and they still lost. West Virginia had 17 more offensive plays and they kind of just made use of it. But as you said, 94 rushing yards to 303 passing, not sustainable. West Virginia's is 260 passing to 180 rushing. A lot more sustainable when you could run the ball better. And, you know, I say Nico, 18 of 24. So, I mean, he's throwing at 75%, 180 yards and a touchdown. Not throwing for too much, but hey, did what he needed to. Ty Edwards thrust into the role because Jaheim White's injured. This is probably where the game's won. 21 carries, 123 yards, 3 touchdowns, going at 6 yards per carry. The run game was just a little bit better. And Desmond Reed, he's been a non-factor so far this year. He has not caught fire from what he ended on last year, and it seems that discrepancy in the run game ultimately is what's cost him.
Yeah, because we saw last year, ultimately what let them down was too much pressure on Eli Holstein. He had them, what, 8-0 last year? And for the
Mm.
most part, it kind of did it off his back. And then it kind of quickly unraveled. It feels like another year where it's Eli or bust. And we know he ain't much of a rusher. He wants to be a pocket passer with a strong arm. He doesn't really like it when he has to. So he does take punishment in that sense. But yeah, if you take away their offense to run the ball and make them one-dimensional, eventually it does catch up with them. The only thing I will say is there's a lot of things Pittsburgh, most of it was self-inflicted. It's fairly straightforward to fix, so it might not be a damning loss. Like I say, the discipline and how bad they went certain downs, they can fix that. But yeah, they're going to have to find some aspect of a run game if they're going to have a competitive later year.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing. It's not a conference battle. It is a very hardly fought rivalry game. But as far as your conference goes, you can survive. But you know, you're looking here at the trench players again. I mean, the new one who stood out in this one for me. I mean, the West Virginia nose tackle. So Edward Vestanen, 3 sacks on the day for the nose tackle. Like it's been one of the most dominant performances I've seen. He stopped the run, 3 sacks on the day. He only had one half tackle. He had a forced fumble as well. It is one of the most dominant performances, and the amount of talent that has come to the NFL from trenches here McKivitz, Cansey, Milam, did the whole list last week. Just from the last 4 or 5 years alone, you've got like 7 or 8 NFL players and good level ones. So he's going to potentially be next on that list. Even on Pittsburgh's side, it was pretty good as well. You've got Blair Spires. He's the outside linebacker. He's like the new Savotier Dennis there. He had a sack on the day, a few tackles, couple of run stops as well. Like this is, there's NFL talent on these lines again. You saw the game it was played. It was rough, it was deep, it was dirty on both offensive lines as well. Like it's just a game that attracts trench players and two teams that attract really good trench players.
Yeah. It it's a rivalry with like an ingrained style. No matter how their seasons are going or what week it's usually played, they come in and kind of play it the same way, kind of try to knock 10 miles of shit out of each other. Whether that's in between whistles or after whistles, the discipline's always bad. These two
Mm.
always end up fighting in lumps because it just feels like it means more in a lot of games, especially a lot more rivalries. Like saying, it never really affects what your comments, like I said, but the bragging rights here are pretty massive. And that goes for the fan base and the players here. It's always a defensive tussle, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. But as I say, Vestiranen, he was the guy in this one. He's going to come to the draft this year. Was injured last season for West Virginia, but four sacks from the nose tackle in 23. He's got three in this one game alone. So if you're looking, he's 6'3", 282. So he's a lighter tackle, but like Pittsburgh, they're D tackles. They're lighter, they're more agile, they're better against the passers. So Vestiranen is a guy you want to keep around, but it was just wonderful. Again, I urge you to go watch it. It is always a game that you should go out your way to see, and this year was no different. Moving on, going through some of the more noticeable, ranked teams that were in action. Um, I mean, I guess we start in Florida here, right? I mean, LSU 20-10 winners over Florida, but this is the game going to be remembered for DJ Lagway and his 5 interceptions. It's uh, it's tough going for the Florida Gators at the minute. Obviously, this was not going to be an easy game for them, but when you take all these interceptions and that into account, this was an LSU team that were there for the taking, and it would have been the perfect bounce back win after your embarrassing loss over USF last week. But I don't know. DJ Lagway, the questions are going to be asked now. 32 of 48. So, I mean, again, throwing at 75%, but just 260 yards on 32 completions. The one touchdown throw, but 5 interceptions. That LSU defense had him eating out of a straw. And the worst part is that they sacked him 3 times, but there are only 5 tackles for loss in this game. It wasn't like the LSU pass rush was absolutely eviscerating him. They were just some of the worst throws you'd ever seen, and he looked like a raw, true freshman rookie in his first game, completely overawed by the experience. This is not a very good LSU team putting away a Florida team. It was tough watching at the end of this. I'm surprised they didn't pull him at some point.
Yeah, I would have saved him from himself because, as you say, was under medium pressure. The throws were dreadful. Honestly, I was watching it thinking like, what is he seeing? Like say the two to Deshaun Spears, like triple coverage. And the commentators saying like, what's he doing? Where's he going? There's one of them where I think like you try to like throw it out of bounds. Like it does not get anywhere near. And it just falls to a Tigers player that's just stood at the sideline that couldn't believe the gift he handed him. Like you say, yeah, and LSU, to be fair to their credit, didn't get out of second gear, but they didn't have to because the starting field position was tremendous. Like I said,
Mm.
Lackway just kept giving it, like I said, and ultimately they didn't exert themselves that hotly. And well, I don't blame them for doing that. They had a good day, average day, like I say, Whit Weeks got ejected. Like I say, missed that game, but like I say, they did it without him. His brothers turned up and helped him, like I say, well, reinforce that middle. And then yeah, D line good. Like I say, the offense was just yeah. Bauer, Sharp, and Aaron Anderson just moving the chains. Even scored, like I say, it was a pretty easy day at the office at LSU. It doesn't get much better. Like I say, Florida, the hype train has derailed. Uh, yeah, like I say, coach, seats getting hot. Even he couldn't have foreseen a five turnover day like that, and he couldn't have done much about it. Maybe later in the game, probably should have pulled him, yeah. But he probably still would have drawn some sort of criticism for that. There was no way he could have come out of that game winning. So yeah, yeah, back to the drawing board with Florida.
Yeah, it was tough going for them. But on the LSU side, there's one name everyone's talking about now. Mansour Delane at corner, seemingly
Yeah.
one of the fastest rising stars in the entire country. No, no, weirdly enough, one of the few guys who didn't get a takeaway in this one, but it didn't really matter. His
Completion
coverage, his
percentage when
lockdown.
targeting the QB rating is so low right now. It's one of the best players in the whole country.
Yeah, and it's only a pass breakup, but he came up in the.
And you
They
pair that with
gave,
a 6'5" true corner in DJ Pickett. Like,
yeah,
come on, that's unfair.
yeah.
LSU might have one of the best secondaries in the whole country right now.
Yeah, I mean his numbers are crazy. Like, he's obviously been 3 years at Virginia Tech, but receptions against over his career, he's at 46%, which is damn low for a quarter in his career. 7 interceptions, 15 PBUs. The NFL passer, do you know what the passer rating is against him this year? 16.4. QBs when targeting Mansour
He's
Delane
going in the
are
first round.
averaging a
I think he's a first
QBR
round pick next year.
a QBR of 16.4. This is his fourth year. You would figure if he carries on with stats like this, there's no way he sees a fifth year in college football.
Oh no, he's got to declare this year. He's going round one. No doubt about it.
6 foot 190, kind of the real ideal frame
Yep,
as
got the
well.
build.
Yeah, absolutely. Mansour Delane, yeah, the Virginia Tech transfer, absolutely.
Look at the games Florida's got coming up now. Like DJ Lagway, I kind of feel for him, like I say, because it's just not going to get any better in the next month.
No,
He's going to have a torrid month.
yeah, it's just not going to be pretty at all. I think that is everything in terms of the main games to talk about this week. I didn't do my
Think Napier
usual
gets
big
fired
list.
mid-season.
Who's next? Who would they play next? It's
Miami, Texas A&M.
so they got Miami of Florida this week, don't
Yeah.
they? I've put that in. I think if Miami of Florida absolutely hump them, that might
And
be
then
the
if
camel
Texas,
that
like say, if Arch Manning that's struggling goes off against them, that would be a big red flag.
Yeah, that I mean, to be honest, that would probably be the next place to go here. You mentioned Arch is, I mean, what was it? How many straight incompletions in a row against UTEP? It was like 10 or something like that, right? It was absolutely huge. Texas, the Longhorns beating UTEP 27-10, but I mean, hang on, let me just put this up here so that
They
you
only went
guys can
11
see
of
it.
25.
Yeah, I'm just going to put these stats up here so you can see them. This is Texas, the Longhorns playing Texas El Paso, the CUSA team, which have been knocked all over in recent years. Obviously, Scotty Walden's there now. I've picked him to win the CUSA this year. I actually feel a bit better about that after this game, but look at this. UTEP had more yards per play offensively than them. 5 yards per play. 4.3 for Texas. -0.35 yards per dropback EPA, 4.75 yards per dropback, which is 24th percentile. That is the most damning, a 2% explosive play rate against the CUSA school at home. That is 1 percentile. And then look at the third downs, 32%. I mean, this is brutal. Again, 14-yard better average starting field position. You expect more. You know, 22 more offensive plays. You would expect them to do more. And the fact that they've struggled so badly, and I mean, you've got to hand it to UTEP. They did what they could. Malachi Nelson looked pretty decent on the day, but as you say, Arch, 11 of 24, 114 yards, a touchdown. and an interception. Yes, he had two rushing touchdowns as well. No run game there per se. I mean, going at 3 yards per carry on the run, I mean, is it just they're struggling with him? It feels more than just a quarterback here. Something feels broken with them. They've lost a lot this year. They've lost a hell of a lot to the draft last year, and it feels like they're struggling to replicate it.
Yeah, it feels like they're victims of their own success. Like I said, the running back room lost its depth last year. Like I say, Jane Blue went to NFL. He would have been, like say, a guy that probably would have slotted in to potentially be the starting, taking the carries this year, but he's gone. And then Arch, like I say, I mean, when you if you didn't know the name on paper, you've got 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions at 55%. You put and the team were 2-1, you probably say, okay, that's fair enough. Like say that's an all right start to the season. And then you realize it's Arch Manning, and everyone's like, whoa, 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 like what's going on here? Like
Hmm.
he's really struggling. I mean, the numbers tell you he's not, like I say, because like I say, he's both asset facets of the game. He's scoring, like I say, the win. But yeah, everyone's got this idea of what they think he is and what he should be. And right now, he's just failing to live up to it. And like I say, that's 50% the fan base, that the rest of the world's fault. 50% his fault. Like I say, he's not handling the pressure very well. But then you have to look at Steve Sarkisian. He's got to find a way to deflect it, to make it slow it down, give it
Yeah.
easier, make the play calls easier. Like you're gonna have to help him in that aspect. But yeah, there's a lot of things right now for Texas that are not working. Arch by itself also a run game that is depleted and it's not helping out its young quarterback right now. Because the defense, yeah, that's doing its job. And it's doing its job pretty well because we know it always does. But at some point, yeah, they're going to have to wake up. And like I say, they're going to have to score fairly heavily.
Mm. I tell you what, they play like that against Vanderbilt, they're going to lose. Like Vandy won't let that off. UTEP might not have the firepower to overcome even a bad team there, but Vanderbilt would rattle them if they turn up and play the way they did.
Yep. Like I say, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, A&M. A lot of teams there, like I say, if they turn up with this like stagnant offense, they're going to get their ass handed to them because their defense will only stop that bleed so many drives if they can't keep up. So a lot of teams out there that'll be gunning to put a big old score on Texas this year.
Yeah, they certainly will indeed. All right, let's start rattling through these scores now because we've got about 20 minutes until we've got to let Matt go to sleep. So, going through the rest of the scores, the Thursday morning technically slate it was Indiana absolutely whooped Indiana State 73
Yeah,
to
Mendoza
nothing.
had a monster day.
Yeah, his brother came in and played as well. Brothers throw touchdowns. Like his brother came in and threw two touchdowns as well. Indiana State, oh, watching that on the live stream I did watching Colorado, and it was just crazy bad how much how ineffective that game was. But I want to stop by NC State for a moment and again, let me just get this up here so you can see. I know I'm an NC State fan, but I watched them, and this team is different this year. NC State 34 to 24 winners against Wake Forest, but that's twice now in successive weeks they've come from double-digit deficits at or just before the half. They really struggled against Virginia and their star running back the week before they were able to work their way into this. They had an absolutely rotten start to this game. I can show you this on the drive score place here. So the very first play of the game, Chris Barnes, a 98-yard touchdown return off the kickoff. And I'm just thinking, oh God, here we go. And then, we lose the ball quick. Damon Claiborne, the star Wake Forest running back, comes in. It's 14-0, and we're not even 8 minutes into this game. And I'm thinking, okay, typical NC State, here we go. This thing changes on a dime, though. Literally within 1 minute, on a 4th and 1 at the Wake 5, CJ Bailey finds star tight end Justin Jolie for a touchdown to get it back. And then Robbie Ashford, gets intercepted by Isaiah Shirley, who is our nose tackle. He returned this thing 41 yards. It is like watching
Big man touchdown.
It's proper big. It's like trying to watch a freight train doing sort of ballerina. This guy is running all over the place, and the last few yards, he's almost trying to hop into the end zone. It's one of the funniest things you'll ever see. But the big man Tuddy, and just like that, we're back into it. But then Wake Forest go in the lead with another two scores. Ashford has a 1 yard touchdown run. Calvert hits a 28-yard field goal. And look at that. 10-point deficit again. Chris Barnes is just toasting us like, his life depended on it. And somewhere, somehow, once again, they were able to fight their way back. A field goal just before the half was fine. And then CJ Bailey comes alive. Touchdown passes to Justin Jolie and Keenan Jackson to put them 7 up, and then a field goal with just over 6 minutes left to put them 10 up. And Wake Forest, from absolutely decimating us. I mean, we can see the drives here and how they went. Wake Forest, it goes touchdown, touchdown, then technically an interception, touchdown, touchdown, field goal. So 3 touchdowns on their first 5 drives, followed by punt, 3 plays, 8 yard. Punt, 3 play, 4 yards. Punt, 3 play, 3 yards. Punt, 3 plays, 4 yards. Punt, 3 plays, 4 yards. There was this really fun stat with about 5 minutes left in the half. They had accrued about 16 yards of offense in the second half. They had accrued 76 yards of penalties in the half. It is very rare you see a team accumulate 5 times more penalty yards than offensive yards in a half. Now, they got some to end the game, so I think they ended up just over. But, I mean, I know they're the guy I follow, right? But you've got to admit, twice in a row now, like Virginia were tearing them apart, Wake Forest were tearing them apart, and they've somehow found a way to adapt and thrive and adjust and come back and win. NC State have some spine to them this year, and it starts with our young QB. He's doing ever so well and having one of the best running backs in college football.
Yeah, Smollers right now. It's it's just his world and we're living in it. Like I say, it feels like every time he touches the ball, he could potentially take it to the house. He's just got that explosion right now. He's built like a little muscle shark, a pocket rocket. CJ Bailey, the young man lacks no confidence whatsoever. He's very comfortable, like I say, to tuck it and run and get what he can get, or stand in the pocket and deliver. He's very accurate. He's not putting in the ball harm's way. Looks like he's taken to leadership very well. He's got the full faith of the coaching staff right now, and it's a very well coached team. Like I said, right now it's making very few mistakes. It's starting slow, but it's growing into games. And like I said, right now, most important thing is it's finishing strong. It doesn't matter how you start in football; it's how you end. Like I say, if you can be the team that finishes late, goes into the fourth quarter of all the momentum, you've got a good chance of winning. And they've set themselves up for a very good year now. They've positioned themselves very nicely. Like I said, they've got their key guys now running and firing in all cylinders. They've got a great chance to make some noise in the ACC this year. And yeah, it's a young team as well. The core nucleus has got a young team. Like I say, there'll be a lot of whispers, there'll be a lot of ears at year's end, but it feels like guys that will be loyal to the program, that can put them in a good position to do big things.
Bailey and Smothers, both sophomores. Like that's the two elite playmakers on there. Both sophomores, both as young, and they can have them for as long as they want to. I love this team this year. They've got the best linebackers in the ACC by far. That secondary eventually came to life, so that's great. Wake Forest, Robbie Ashford is forever going to be Robbie Ashford.
Yeah.
He looks really
Started
good in
great
that
for two
game.
weeks.
What?
He started great in the first 2 weeks.
And then he just throws that pick six. It's just like, there he is. There's the
He does,
guy
yeah.
that we know.
He's not a bad quarterback. He's prone to big mistakes like that. Like I say, I mean, by their own standards, they've still started the season pretty well.
Mm.
Like I said, because last year for them was pretty disastrous in most parts. But
And
yeah,
they've got they've
still
got
dangerous.
they've got playmakers. Claiborne, but I mean that's crucial. Keeping Claiborne to 2 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. You keep him quiet, you can beat this Wake Forest team no matter how much they beat you through the air, and they did. But that Chris Barnes looks fucking amazing. 3 catches for 76 yards, and he housed the return against us. Like he's
He's
legit.
electric.
Yeah, he's absolutely legit. He is. So if Wake Forest can keep this going and just minimize those turnovers, there's potentially something for them there this year. But NC State, I'm telling you now, are legitimate for the ACC. They play Duke this week, which is going to be tough as well, and it's on the road, but you can come through that. I think you've got a good shot at it this year. They've got the backbone and they're young, and nobody is going to tell them no.
Speaking
Um,
of Duke, it was not a happy homecoming for Darian Mensah.
they
Um,
lost to
yeah,
Tulane,
Jake
right?
Retzlaff, I think he had the performance of the week.
What did he end up with?
He had 15 of 23 for 245 and then four rushing touchdowns and 17 carries for 111 yards. Absolutely crucified the Duke defense. Tulane won 34-27. Retzlaff looks legit in his Tulane offense. They've just given him the keys and yeah, they looked very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I've not been going into comments. Hope everyone's been there. Brent goes, remember my LSU prediction? I don't quite. So remind me there. And I know you never pick. Yeah, me and Brent picked West Virginia. So, we're spirit buddies on all this sort of stuff. Hope you're well, Grandizer, as well. Other results came. So Penn State rolled over Villanova. And they were flexing on them as well. I thought that was very poor from Penn State. Like, don't flex on beating Villanova. There's nothing there.
Arizona, big win for them.
Arizona
Beat
against,
Kansas. Kansas State, what a horrible start to the year. 1-3.
yeah, and Kansas State was 17-0 down in this. I think it was 17-0. Got themselves all the way back into it and then ended up losing.
Mm.
Um, and they had Dylan Edwards back for this, I believe. It just
Yeah, but
wasn't effective.
yeah, he's not right. He only had 3.3 yards a carry.
Yeah, it's not right there for him. Oregon won away at Northwestern 34 to 14. No shock there. Oklahoma destroyed Temple. Iowa State closer
Sweet.
victory than
Mm.
expected against Butch Jones at Arkansas State, but a win is a win. 24-16, still unbeaten. Hashtag.
Texas
Bama.
Tech, wow, they blasted our Jesus.
Yeah.
That D line, it's clicking.
Well, we're going to find out this week how good they are because they're going to come up against someone who can fight back for the first time.
Hunter,
So.
Heights, David Belly, Gil Howard. Now yeah, it's the best. I think in rating now, it's the best D line in the country on PFF grades.
Mm, we'll see, but they are getting there. Yeah, Alabama destroyed Wisconsin, Michigan destroyed Central Michigan, Auburn beat South Alabama, Missouri beat Louisiana, Syracuse beat Colgate, Houston beat Colorado, and I think the easiest thing to say about Colorado is they're on their fourth starting quarterback of the year, and it's only week 4. They're
Ryan
playing.
Staub did not look good, and now they're going back to Salter.
See, Staub started really badly. We watched it, and then Staub looked better, and now they're benching him. It's like, how are these guys meant to get? You start with Salter, you turn to Lewis, you go to Staub, and now you're back to Salter again. Was it going to be Lewis next week? Is it going to be Staub? We're playing ring around the roses
Yeah,
with
they're struggling for it.
quarterbacks.
I think Sanders is starting to question himself.
I tell you what, Houston looked legit though. Houston under Weigman and Fritz now.
Yeah,
Tanacozy all looking good at tight
yeah,
end.
brilliant.
Yeah, they, legit underscore for the Big 12. Maybe not win it, but they'll cost someone the Big 12 if they come and approach them the wrong way. Memphis beat Troy, Buffalo
And
beat Kent
Maryland. Remember when I
State.
mentioned Malik Washington, true freshman?
Yeah, I mean they
Six
beat.
touchdowns and a pick. The Terps are 3-0.
Yeah, I mean it was Towson this week,
Yeah.
but a win is a
62%
win.
passing on the year. Like the kid looks the real deal.
Mm,
6'5", 220.
yeah.
Freshman, he's like built in a lab.
Yeah, absolutely. In other terms of other games I want to focus on, Delaware. Delaware have started this season 2-1. They've beaten Delaware State. They took down UConn this week, which is a shocker given like this went to overtime and Delaware scored a touchdown in overtime, which UConn were not able to come back from, but 5 rushing touchdowns. A quarterback went 23 of 34 for 265 and a touchdown, didn't turn it over. They got a receiver who went for 160 yards. The Fighting Blue Hens have made the step up, but UConn is a big scout now. That is nothing to sniff at for the Blue Hens. Like, watch them closely this year.
Yeah, great start to the year for them. Like I say, they've looked really good. Like I say, they've got big wins, got a loss, like I say, lost Colorado, but they're beating the teams that they need to beat. Like I say, to prove
Mm,
that they're ready to play at this level.
yeah. And UConn aren't scrub. Faniano threw for 346 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cameron Edwards, the star running back, had 2 rushing touchdowns. Victor Rosa had one. Skylar Bell had a good game. Like all their offensive playmakers were great, but their defense was atrocious. So, bad on you there, UConn. UNC beat Richmond. Michigan State continue their good start to the season. 41. It was over Youngstown State, but again, win is a win there. Washington State, right? What about that on the week of the Apple Cup, getting beaten 59-10 by North Texas?
Yep.
I
All,
mean, they've
all lost their LC, lost their QB, and all their juju's just gone.
I mean, what are they? They've won the Apple Cup 2 years in a row against the odds. I don't think it's going to be three somehow.
Nope. Like I say
Anyone?
UNT, we know them. Their offense usually is absolute juggernaut.
It is.
Their defense lets them down, but yeah, they blasted them.
It is. FIU won the Shula
That Drew
Bowl.
Mesnick, a true freshman, 9 touchdowns passing, no
Who's that?
interceptions on the year. That's the
Oh,
UNT
UNT.
quarterback.
Oh,
They might have a
wow.
star there.
Yeah. Bloody hell. That's a hell of a one. FIU won the Shula Bowl for the first time in forever. Um, Keon Owens, the star running back, 180 yards on 19 carries and two touchdowns. Caden Veldkamp, three interceptions, threw it 50 times. The air raid, it just continues to follow you around. You turn the ball over, you lose. But I told you, Willie Simmons doesn't have losing seasons, and he's wrestled the Shula Bowl back after years of disappointment for FIU.
Yeah, that's a big win. Like I say, that's some big bragging rights, and they really needed that. Like I say, really, he's been there, he's done it, he's seen it, he's worn the t-shirt. He's like say a savvy veteran that just knows how to get those and grind out those wins. So good hire for them. And like I say, just a little bit of pride now. Like I say, 2-1 in the year. It's really big for them and hope they can able to build on it.
Yeah, Brent said LSU to win the SEC. I wouldn't do that just yet, but potentially. Other ones to mention: Ole Miss again squeaking by Arkansas after squeaking by Kansas last week. They feel like they're one.
Yeah.
They meet a good team, they're going to get hammered. Although, shout out to Trinidad Chambliss, the Division Two
It kind of feels like there's a QB
quarterback.
controversy there now, even when Austin Simmons is fit.
So Trinidad Chambliss, where was he playing last year? He was playing Division
Ferris
Two at
State Bulldogs in Michigan, yeah, he won the D2 national title.
Ferris State, his stats in this game: 21 of 29 for 353 yards and a touchdown. And he was leading Russia, 15 carries, 62 yards, two touchdowns. Let him have it. Let the guy sling it. He was the reason they won this game because without him, you think with Simmons, there's going to be a couple of picks in there, which turned that game, that one score over in the other direction. Let him keep it now, right? Success story from Michigan.
Yeah, like I say, give him the job. Like I say, just let him ride of it until he slips up.
And they weren't just loads of screen passes and easy slants and stuff. Like he was airing the thing out. They let him unleash his full arsenal on Arkansas.
Yeah, he's a very talented quarterback. Like I say, he's deserved a chance, and he's proven. Yeah, he is not a D2 quarterback. He's mixing it with the big boys.
Absolutely, he did. Just trying to. Is there anyone else you want to mention before we've got to quickly move on to the predictions because I'm at where I said I'd be with Matt now, so we need to wrap up soon. But Kentucky's still struggling. 48-23 over Eastern Michigan, but they did not look comfortable in the slightest. Oh, shout out to Stanford, right? 30-20 winners over Boston College after everything that's gone wrong for them. And the Boston College pod I'm listening to was not happy this week. They were awful, but you've got to feel for Stanford fans. Like, they deserve that. That's something nice for them.
Yeah, they needed that badly. Like I say, and Boston College, another team that continues to blow hot and cold. Like I say, when it shouldn't be. Yeah, the Cardinals. They just need a few glimmers of hope this year. Like I said, they're just trying to steady the ship, and that will go a long way to it.
Yeah, lovely. And then probably the last one I want to give a shout out to the
Cal,
hardest.
Cal had a big win as well.
I was about to say the hardest name to pronounce in football.
Bagapalula Taylor looks fantastic. God, he looks good.
Sagapula 24 of 38, 279 yards, three touchdowns. He ripped Minnesota to shreds. They couldn't run the football to save their lives. He just went nuts. And, Drake Lindsay, it's a road game in LA. It's tough. I mean, a touchdown, an interception, he did all right. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. But I think there's a phenom growing in Cal.
Yeah. Let's just see how long they can keep hold of this because, like I say, they just reloaded with more talent. I
I
hope
mean,
they
where did he leave from? Oregon.
Oregon.
Maybe Oregon try and get him back there. But I think Moore's probably got the starting job a few years, but maybe he ends up back in Eugene. Who knows? But he was absolutely tremendous. But yeah, Cal, 3-0 on the season. I mean, buyer beware with them. That could, again, go under the radar. Who knows?
Yep. It's one of those teams like we say don't feel like they're allowed nice things, but hey, they've got to make the most of them while they've got them now. Just think short term, not long term. Just have a good year
Exactly.
this year and then see what happens.
Exactly. Arizona State beat Texas State. Good result for you there. And the final one, Hawaii beat Portland State. 3-1 on the year. Hawaii about to come up against Fresno State. This is the year you go to a bowl for them, right? Right. You've got to do it now. You're 3 wins off. Your starting quarterback's coming back this week for the big one. No excuses. Timmy Chang, 3-1. Go get a bowl.
Yep. You've done the hard work, you've laid the foundations. Now it's all about, yeah, building, carrying the momentum. Like I say, they look good, they position themselves well. They kind of, like I say, have set themselves up, like I say, they can't make any excuses now.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Right. I think that's just, is there anything else you quickly want to mention about week three before we move on and do the predictions quickly?
Yeah. Big shock in high school, number one Mater, like I say, number one in the country, lost to unranked Centennial
Oh,
in like an
wow.
80 game shootout. Yeah, absolutely stunned. The Monarchs hardly ever lose, and they lost to an unranked high school and shipped 45 points, I think, in the process, which stunned a lot of the football world.
Oh, Grandad says we should create the Hank Dog Bowl as a new bowl game. That would be quite a fun one, Grandad, no doubt. But yeah, I've got to get these predictions done. So we're going to move ahead to week three and get this done quick so we can get Matt off to bed. We're going to do the pick watch as we always do, and it doesn't get any easier. It was a tough week. No one went better than 6-4 last week. And the ranks this week are tough. So up first on the slate ride, we've got 22 Auburn at 11 Oklahoma, and we have Jackson Arnold making his return home with his Auburn team, which is firing on all cylinders right now and has not lost a game. But Oklahoma themselves dispatched Michigan last time in Norman. This is two teams who've struggled in recent years who can put down an early marker in this season and potentially go on and, have a very good year, depend on, but like this is close. Two ascending teams, two ascending quarterbacks. Who wins in Norman?
Like I say, this is a really big game. It's an important game in the context of the SEC. So I'm going to take an Auburn upset. I think they can run the ball better, which helps them manage the clock better.
Yeah, I agree with you actually. I thought we might disagree on that, but I've got Auburn winning as well. Yeah. I said at the start of the season something's drawing me towards them, and I'm going to stick with that there.
Kieran Crawford's one of the best defensive players in the country right now. He'll make his
Hmm.
impact felt.
Yeah, and Auburn's star edge is playing well as well. So, I think that might just swing it there for them. One of our favorite games, it's the battle for the Iron Skillet. SMU at
What's sad is
TCU.
this is the last one.
Oh, really? Have they
There's
stopped
no
the
more books,
rivalry?
and they're not scheduling anymore. 104 years. This is the 103rd meeting, and it's projected to potentially be the last.
So, like the backyard brawl, it means nothing your form coming into this. SMU at TCU. TCU are absolutely humming right now, and that offense looks like one of the best in the nation. But we know what SMU can do. They've had a slower start to the year. They are on the road, but these two teams, right, when you say they hate one another, like they hate one another. This is there's you're one or the other unless you're Sonny Dykes, but. You know, this is lifelong loathing, no love whatsoever. And it's usually a pretty feisty game as well. Who's winning the last skillet?
Hmm. Give me the Mustangs.
Oh, really?
Yep.
You're the TCU apologist on here. You love TCU. See, I figure that I've rode my luck with underdogs winning the big battles. Like with West Virginia, I've rode a lot of luck to get that result. I'm gonna go with the favorite this time and go TCU. But obviously that could change, but we'll see. For me, best game of the week up next, even more so than that. Number 17, Texas Tech at number 16, Utah. One of the fiercest defensive lines in the entire country. 28 million spent on this Texas Tech team coming up against Utah with Devon Dampier, who is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the entire country, a damn good offensive line, and you're coming up against one of the best defenses in the country. Period. It's always great under Kyle Whittingham. They look nasty this year. This is the established power in Utah against the upstart rich kid made himself. He's a non-made rich kid who's trying to muscle in on established territory. This is Texas Tech's biggest test by far, and they've got to take down the old regime here. But the old regime looks pretty damn good. Can Texas Tech do it on the road in Utah?
I just look at that Utah defense. I think this is going to be the first time Baron Morton has trouble. I'm going to take Utah.
I'm taking Utah as well because I'm a Devon Dampier stan. I think this is the game where he brings himself to the world. If anyone can avoid the pressure that defensive line brings, it's Devon Dampier. He's got the escapability, and that is where this one changes. So I've got Utah as well. Another top 25 matchup. Number 9, Illinois against number 19, Indiana. Indiana, the success story of last year against Illinois, seeking to be the Indiana of last year. Both teams in imperious form so far, right? Two very high-powered offenses. This is about whose defense comes to play here, but these are two well-rounded teams, both capable of challenging for the Big Ten on their day. And whoever wins this is the contender this year. If you want to be a contender, you cannot lose this game. Is it going to be the upstarts in Illinois or is it going to be the established in Indiana on home turf?
I like Mendoza. I think Indiana will just squeak this one out.
I have Indiana as well. Again, I think Signetti's going to have them ready. And I just think that Indiana defensive
Look
line
at the
is still
stats, and
good.
they are identical.
Yeah,
Both
yeah.
QBs have completed 55 passes and they've only got 1 yard between them. Leading rushers have only got 5 yards between them, and there's only 10 yards between their leading receivers. You will not find two more balanced offenses in the whole country.
No, it looks absolutely tremendous. So, sorry, Grandizer, I'm having to rush through these, but I do like your chants. They are quite fun. We do get a kick out of those. Another preseason prediction: Auburn winning 8, 9 games. I had them winning 8 or 9 games, so we predicted that as well. Right, sorry. Let's keep going on. Number 21, Michigan at Nebraska. Michigan rolling over Central, but in their one test against Oklahoma, they came up and they looked very poor. And Nebraska really haven't had a test themselves yet, but Dylan Raiola looks good. These are two freshman phenoms, one in his redshirt year. Well, he's technically a sophomore year now, but Bryce is there. But Michigan wilted when they left the big house. Are they going to beat Nebraska? Are they that good yet? Or are Nebraska going to. And Nebraska need this win more than anybody to legitimize themselves. They're at home, but they don't look the same defense since their coordinator left. Who's going to win? I find this incredibly tough. I'm not sure.
I don't trust Rayola. I know he started here, but like I say, he's had a cupcake start. They had a cupcake start last year.
Yeah.
He looked godly through 5 weeks, and then like I say, the guy shit the bed after week 6. I I want to say it starts earlier this year, but then like I say, I don't think Bryce Underwood's ready.
No, this is all about Justice Haynes. and co. And what can he do to silence the Nebraska crowd? It just feels like I am going to go with Nebraska. Not because it's Michigan hate or anything. I don't know. It's a feeling.
I'm going to
I've
say
got a
Michigan.
feeling, like I've got with Auburn. So we'll see. Arizona State at Baylor.
Baylor.
Didn't even think about it. He threw his Sun Devils
Leg
under the
shape and knife
bus.
through our defense. So what on earth is Sawyer Robertson going to do? He's going to absolutely crucify that defense.
Well, you're the only one who said Baylor so far. In fact, no, Danny has. But
Oh no, yeah, I think Baylor win comfortably.
ooh, you know what? No, I'm gonna go for your guys. I think they can still pull a rabbit out their ass. If the Baylor run game doesn't get going, then they could struggle. Arizona just need to run the ball well, and then we'll see. Fresno State at Hawaii. Big one. Hawaii simply have to win this if they want to be taken seriously. 3-1 start. Mika Aliado is back. They're at home. They've not done well against Fresno in recent years. Um, who have you got?
Got Hawaii. I've not been impressed with Fresno State at all to start this year.
No, I have not
Did you
either. Oh, I lost your sound then.
the machine still?
Oh, there,
Hawaii
you're
will
back.
prey on him.
Yeah, you're back. So you've got Hawaii, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, next up, Troy at Buffalo. Buffalo expect, contenders for the MAC this year. Troy putting up a very good performance against Clemson the other week. Looks like that team might be coming back to roost. This will be the big test for Buffalo about whether they can be potential MAC champions or not. Is it going to be an upset, or are the Bulls going to show their talent?
Nah, the Clemson forms was an outlier. I'll take Buffalo.
I've got them as well because I do believe they are great. Iowa at Rutgers. Iowa, one of the worst passing offenses in the country, but always one of the best defenses. Coming up against Rutgers, Khalid Manis is still looking good. They had a big dominant win over the weekend. But Iowa's a tough nut to crack, and for someone like Rutgers, that's a signature win if they can beat them. And again, not done well in recent years. So who have we got? Iowa at Rutgers.
I've got to take Rutgers.
I'm taking
Iowa's
Rutgers
not
as
moving the
well.
ball.
I am taking Rutgers as well. And then the very last one, it's in here because it could potentially be an upset, but I have the Florida Gators away at the Miami of Florida Hurricanes, who were ranked number 5. This feels like its last gasp saloon for Billy Napier, but we said that when they went to Miss State last year and they started one of the most incredible recoveries you will ever see. Can they do it twice, or is this maybe game, set, and match for Billy?
That Miami defense is going to crucify Lagway. This is only going one way.
Oh, I'm gonna give Billy Napier one last chance, and I'm gonna go with Florida with the massively stonking upset because Miami are prone to them, and this would be the one that they could potentially lose. So I've got Florida in the upset. So we've agreed on quite a few this week, although we have I think we have 3 differences, but we will see. But we're doing much better this year, so that is all good there. Let's just finish it off quickly. Just look through it quickly. Others. The Apple Cup is this week. So for those who don't know, Washington traveling to Washington State. Washington State have had the rivalry by the scruff of the neck. And it's the same time Oregon State playing Oregon this year in Eugene, but I don't see any of the independents even remotely challenging their opponent this year.
Oh, no chance. Let's say Washington football, UQB looking good. Washington State coming off a pretty devastating loss, confidence low. This will be all Huskies. They're getting it
Hmm.
back.
Upset alert, Tulane at Old Miss, number 13. Is there one or
Yes,
nay?
yes.
Yep.
They might
I've
not
got
win Tulane, but I reckon they can keep that well within like less than a touchdown.
I've got them on upset alert there. Notre Dame at home to Purdue, a game they simply have to win. You would assume they do, but with the way they are, they're probably going to be upset alert. Syracuse traveling to Death Valley to play Clemson. I mean, that's now a massive banana skin.
Yep, that's a very important game right now for Clemson football.
Tis indeed. Who else have we got in here? I don't think there's anything outside of what we've done. Obviously, UCF, it'll be their first big challenge you're watching them this year, playing Bill at the Hill. Not at the Hill. They're playing them in Florida, but UCF at UNC. Do you envisage any problems for UCF there?
Nope.
Nope.
Not
Nope.
seeing anything to convince me that UNC aren't dog water.
Yep. And then outside of that, Michigan State at USC. USC are ranked 25 now. Do Michigan State put on the big boy pants and pull off an upset at USC?
I mean, Mayo is playing really good right now.
But
Like,
they've been playing cupcakes.
yeah, USC very good last week. Uh, and like I say, they got that. They're second just one of the best in the country right now. I'm probably going to take the Trojans.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're going to leave that there because I need to get Matt in bed soon and I've gone a bit over. So apologize, Matt. I know you're listening. In terms of next shows, I will update you on Twitter as we go along because Matt is on holiday now, so I will be doing the shows and I'm having to do it around work. So I'm hoping we'll be live for the Baltimore game on Monday. If not, we'll definitely do a review of it. Me and Ryan will be back next week. It'll be week 4 review, and we'll probably start taking a look at some of the early stats leaders from the years as well, see who is ruling the roost as we go along. Then obviously we'll be doing the preview for the Browns next week as well. But yeah, I'll let you know when the shows are and are not happening. Say me and Brian will be back next week. Yeah. Outside of that, Roar of the Lions UK, you can find us all over. Just type us in, you will find us there. Shout out to everyone who's been in this evening. Grandad goes, do a College Bowl part 2 tomorrow. Yes, I don't know if I will do a watch along this week. It's Rice versus Charlotte tonight. I don't know how many of you
Yeah.
will be enthralled by a Rice versus Charlotte watch along. Tomorrow I'm off partying, so I can't do that. And then Saturday I have about 10 hours between shifts. So I may do on Saturday. We'll see. But we're going to try and do a Saturday
Saturday
during
I'll
the
be in
day.
Cardiff,
Oh,
so
you're in Cardiff. Yeah. So
I
we
won't
will.
be on till like 11 p.m.
Yeah, we'll try and do one at some point, but maybe not this weekend. We'll do some watch-alongs, but it does help. It was good fun doing the first one, although it was done at the last minute, so we will see. But yeah, just remains for me to thank Ryan. Appreciate you very much, and we shall both see you next week. Enjoy another scintillating weekend of college football. We will be eventually when we get a chance to, amongst our other duties. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. One Pride.
Recording stopped.